What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another day, another week, another episode of the Daily Grind. I'm your host, 30NSG, and on today's show, we're going to be talking about a couple different topics. We're going to be talking about the diverse Star Wars video game bites the dust, according to Cosmic Book News. We'll talk about that. We're going to go over Assassin's Creed Shadows gameplay is being leaked online as early copies have already been in players' hands. So we'll talk about that. That comes from Insider Gaming. We're going to talk about former Sony executive finally says the quiet part out loud. Putting PlayStation games on PC is almost like printing money. I thought we talked about this on Thursday. Maybe we did. But maybe it's something else. Maybe it's a different part of what the interview was. And then if we have time, we're going to talk about NetEase CEO debated having Marvel Rivals canceled and removing Heroes. We'll talk about that. And then there was a podcast, or not a pod. Well, I guess there was a podcast. It was a video talking about the Exodus game that was coming out. It's like it was a live stream that they had. This is like a live stream from Co-Carnage with like highlights of the game. So we're going to look at that as well. If you guys like what we do here, we do this Monday through Thursday from 10 o'clock in the morning till noon Eastern. We just go over news stories, have conversations. If you like it, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you'd like to go above and beyond that, become a member as little as $5. What's going on, chat? What's going on, Mo? What's going on, Z? Eclipse, Water Bear, Travis, Kylo. Congratulations, Kylo, on your raise. Nice. Congratulations. Morning Wonder Rose. Make sure you guys hit that like button. Helps us out. The algorithm lows. Hey, wait a minute. These people are actually watching 30 do a video here. Maybe other people would like this video as well. What else we got? Exodus story was one I shared. Well, that's not the story I'm going over. It's the video. Did you share a story? I didn't see the story. If it was in the news category, there's no story submitted in the news story section for Exodus. So you wanna submit stuff, you put it in the submitted story section. Go on, I'll turn. What's going on? I feel like if I switch to this one now, I'm going to be cut off. Nope, we're good. All right. Yeah, this was a video. Was this another video? I mean, it's the only video that, and it wasn't submitted. It literally was popped in my feed, and I just clicked on it right before I came live. Come on, feed. All right. This weekend, how's everyone's weekend? I had a busy weekend. Lots of stuff. We went to a rodeo this weekend. Let me tell you something. Like, me and my brother-in-law started talking yesterday because we watched the rodeo. And watching these young people get on the back of horses or cows, and for 8 seconds, right? That's all they have to do. They have to stay on a horse when they're bucking, right? Or a bull for 8 seconds. And only after the 8 seconds, then they get judged on the technique and the scoring or whatever. So for 8 seconds, it's got to feel like a lifetime, because we're worried about football players getting concussioned all the time. These guys are on a bull or a horse for 8 seconds, and their body is just gnashing, and their head is getting whipped around, and their back. And I'm like, there's gotta be some sort of concussion thing here as well, right? But nobody cares about them because them good old boys, they don't care. But in other sports, they're like, you gotta have rules against this. It's like being in a car crash 12 times in 8 seconds. It's crazy how much their body gets whipped around. And then the crazy part of all of that, not even them getting whipped around, is that how do you practice for that? Right? They go and travel all over the country to have this like competition. It's all for 8 seconds. 8 seconds. Go on, Hilly. It's just mind-boggling to me. They practice by riding the bull. No, but what I'm saying though, Water, I don't think they practice. Honestly, I don't think in baseball you take batting practice and you just keep hitting balls, right? In football, you do You don't do full on contact until like a couple days, like a day before. You know what I mean? No. You're not. You're missing the point. I don't think because once they do the bull ride, they're not just getting back on another bull 10 seconds later. Okay. Guy yesterday like dislocated his shoulder. No, they practice riding a real bull. No, you're not. You're not listening. Okay. It takes so much out of them in that 8 seconds. Okay. Like they can't do it like full on practice, like day after day after day after day. They're literally competing every weekend. They're competing less faster than a weekend because the competition was Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Then they travel to the next location, which starts on Thursday. Okay. And they do this up until September, which then goes to the finals, which is in November, and they have like a month off. Okay. And then they go to Vegas to win $16 million. Sometimes they ride a mechanical one. Sure. But I'm saying like every day they're like, yeah, you know what? Let's do this for the next hour where I just get on a bull and I get my neck snapped and my back torqued and then fall off and get back up and do it again. And I'm just like, I understand they probably do like weightlifting, right? They probably like do some neck exercises and stuff to strengthen their neck. But holy Christ, man. I mean, it's intense. They're just holding on. I would rather get punched by a boxer, okay, than sit on a bull for 8 seconds. Or like a race car driver. Now they use simulators because most of them don't realize that driving at high rates takes a lot. That's what I'm saying though. Like it's got the lifespan of a bull rider's got to be maybe 5 years. Maybe 5 years. Like it's a young man's sport. If there's someone in their 30s, that dude's got shoulder replacement, like dislocated spine, like it's crazy. Very entertaining to watch though. But I would never do it. They had different races. They had like the barrel races where they run around with the horses. They had these guys were fast, man. So the bull runs out, okay, and they have to get behind it and lasso it, right? Then jump off the horse, pick up the cow, the baby calf, slam it on the ground, and then tie it. And what do you think? What do you think the fastest time was? Right? Again, they start off from a dead standstill. They run out maybe 20 yards. Okay. So from point to end, how fast do you think they can do this? Like this is crazy how fast they can do this. Travis says the lifespan of a bull rider is however long they stay in after while it was also good. Not long life. What do you mean? 10 to 15 seconds? Cut that in half. Cut that in half, Water. The fastest we saw was 7.2 seconds. 7.2 seconds. I don't know what the world record is, but 7.2 seconds to ride a horse, jump off the horse, grab the cow, jump, and then pick it up and then and then tie it. 7.2 seconds. I was like, oh, like, God damn. Oh, it was funny. One more thing before we was getting the gaming news. So there was that like a halftime show or whatever, and this woman comes out and she's riding two horses, one foot or one leg on each of the horses, right? Like riding around and she's booking it. I mean, she's going full speed, 25, 30 miles an hour, right? She's riding on top of these horses. Then she's like swerving in between flames, going over the flames, so the fire is going between legs as between the horses. She jumped through a hoop of fire with the horses. Now, if you guys don't think that sounds pretty good, horses are terrified of fire, by the way. And these horses were like really well trained. And after she does all of these like high octane like stunts, they go, "Oh, this is her last performance because she's 3 months pregnant." And we're like, "What the hell?" She was doing all this while she's 3 months pregnant. And my wife's like, "Oh my God." Yeah, it was pretty funny. I was like, "Wow." I was like, "Look what she's doing." And they're like, "Oh, and by the way, she's 3 months pregnant." And then her 4-year-old came out on a horse and was doing tricks. And I was like, "Holy Christ." It was fun. It was fun. It was packed. It was fact. Fact, it was packed. Fact, it was packed. Poor brain damaged kid? What are you talking about? There's plenty of jokes there I could have said, but I'll keep my jokes to myself. This is a stream of all time. Meaning exists? Yes, I know. I'm confused. What are you confused about, Krebsy? We're talking about the rodeo I went to this weekend. Oh, we haven't gone down the rabbit hole yet, Hilly. We haven't even started the show yet. Do you think she asked her doctor? Probably not. Probably not. She probably just did it. She's like, "Yeah, we could do it for a couple more months." Any woman that would do that while pregnant arguably shouldn't have kids. How many kids do you have, Travis? How many kids do you have? I already know the answer. How about the peanut gallery doesn't talk about other people how to be parents when you're not a parent yourself? Amazing. Amazing. All right. Let's go. Yeah, he's got 0. But he's an expert in telling me people how they shouldn't have parents. Doesn't know anything about the person. Doesn't know anything about her ability to do what she's doing. Amazing. All right. First story comes from Cosmic Book News. I don't think we've ever read anything from them, so I don't know. Take this with a grain of salt if this is if this means it is canceled or not, but let's take it with a grain of salt. Okay. This diverse Star Wars video game bites the dust. Okay, Star Wars Eclipse video game that has been in development from Quantum Dream since 2021 looks to be getting canceled, potentially. Okay, if it hasn't been already. This comes from with it learned that the Chinese partner company NetEase plans to device itself, majority of its overseas studios. Potentially amongst them was included the Quantum Dream, who has been developing the Star Wars Eclipse game. The Star Wars Eclipse was the first announced back in the Game Awards in December of 2021, and the game described as set of a High Republic era and Star Wars universe. Star Wars Eclipse lets you play a diverse cast of charismatic characters, also in their own story abilities. The role is to play the events that could also alter carefully balanced piece of the Outer Rim. So it says, we get the word about NetEase from GameFile Backup by Shinobi602. Okay, it says the game file said sources have filed them and is following in the recent big acquisitions and expansions. NetEase is looking to sell off its gaming studios, which could lead to potential closing of more of a dozen game studios. The studios also under NetEase are Quantum Dreams, Grasshopper, Pincool, all these, Studio Flare, Anchor Point Studios, Bullet Farm, Skybox Labs, Rebel Wolves, Bad Brain, Rebel Wolves, Required Swords, and Fanatic Pixel Castle. There's update. We got word from Grums on X behind NetEase's decision to sell off its studios' assets, and NetEase is also pulling funding from Western and potential Japanese game studios. The CEO is said to be very unsatisfied with the Western developers, calling them lazy, entitled, slow, and woke, according to the source I've spoken with. Well, I mean, they're not wrong, right? I mean, we use lazy for a lot of companies because of what they've done, minimal viable product. Entitled, I guess the developers call us entitled, right, for that. Slow and woke. I don't know about slow, but definitely woke for some companies. So it says NetEase isn't just laying off the 6-person Marvel team. Wait a minute. Is that the only thing that happened? That's what everyone was going about? We never covered that story. But NetEase isn't just laying of the 6-person Marvel team. 6 people in the Seattle? Is that what they were talking about? NetEase is also pulling funding from the Western, potentially Japanese game studio. And the CEO said it is very unsatisfied with the Western developers, calling them lazy, entitled, slow, and woke, according to his Twitter account. Now, recently also saw that Ubisoft confirmed that Star Wars Outlaws underperformed compared to expectations, and Ubisoft is also reported to be in trouble financially. So, canceled Star Wars games include Star Wars Battlefront 3, Star Wars 1313, game by Visceral Games, also an unannounced Star Wars first-person shooter. Okay, so if it's true, and Star Wars Eclipse is yet another Star Wars game on top of, because the Mando game, I think, got canceled. Star Wars 1313, Star Wars Battlefront 3. There was also one more Star Wars game, if I'm not mistaken, that was also canceled. So it's not looking very good here for Quantum Dreams. But again, take this with a grain of salt because we don't know. Not many people are reporting on this just yet. But what do you guys think about the next Star Wars game for Quantum Dreams? This is the same people that made Detroit Become Human, right? It's the same company. I'm so tired of them announcing games that don't ever see the light of day. Right? Now, obviously, they announced the games because they want to try to get developers to come on board. Like, someone sees it like they did for Transformers, like they did for other games, and they're like, oh, they're working on this game. Maybe I want to go work on that game. I would love to reach out to see if I could work on it. And they just never come out. Yet this is another one, right? I think this is another game that's could be in trouble. We heard they was in trouble before, but now we heard this. Nothing's confirmed yet. But, yeah, I think this is it good or bad? I don't know. I really don't care a lot about Star Wars games besides the Star Wars Battlefront 3. That's the game I want the most, just because it's a multiplayer game, sort of like a Battlefield, right? I like that. If they could throw in a single-player game, cool. But they didn't show anything about this game. We knew nothing about it. Like, this is the trailer we saw from Quantum, right? This is it. Everybody can't play it here? No? All right, cool. Right? But there's nothing. They don't show anything. It's all cinematic. Right? This is what they look like in the trailer. They're just beating drums and whatnot. They show absolutely nothing of the actual game. So I don't really know if I'm upset about it. You know what I mean? Let me see what you guys are saying here. Water says slow and woke. What's going on, Roic? Star Wars trailer with drums. Yeah, that was it. That was it. It was just Star Wars trailers with drums. Ray says, imagine the salt of Quantum Dream became Xbox Studio, the salt mine. It will cause the Sony fans. Oh, if they get picked up? I don't know. Maybe they do like a sale and they're just selling them all off. It's interesting to see what happens with all these studios. It is pretty funny that NetEase is like, yeah, we're just getting rid of all the garbage studios over on the West. Right? Is this me celebrating them? No. NetEase is celebrating that they're getting rid of, shitty studios. Argus says hot woke garbage needs to carry their asses back to sleep. Hilly says drums. How can I pre-order? I mean, maybe when you buy the game, Hilly, they give you one of those drums that's in the actual video. PS5 blows says DEI games getting canceled. Not even games getting canceled. Studios being closed down. So it would make the games that they're working on being closed down. Now, I can't tell you if the game is is DEI, but what I do know is that the games that they're working on, if NetEase decides to close them, whatever game they're working on, DEI or not, are closing down and the game is canceled. Again, take it with a grain of salt. We don't know anything official yet. Waterbear says, bad title for the story, diverse. What does it even mean? Isn't Star Wars diverse anyways? I mean, it's a galaxy far, far away. You would hope that it didn't have any connection with our universe to be diverse or not. I mean, they are aliens. Lots of aliens. Got an email. Dune Awakening demo is up on Steam. Oh, nice. Nice. This is what China did was train the talent, and now they don't need those old studios, so they have cheap talent in China. Well, I think it's funny that everyone was trying to run with that Marvel Rivals was closing down and they were getting rid of their like their heads and stuff, and then now I just read six people lost their job and everyone's freaking out. Argus says the entire studio is getting shit canned for their shit ideas. It says collector's edition drum make millions, Mike. Yeah, life size. But the drum surface of the drum, like the top of the drum, is like a really shitty, like not good like material. So as soon as you hit it once, it just busts open. It'd be like the bag scenario thing that was happening with Fallout 76 back in the day, Healy. Remember that? With the vinyl bag? It was supposed to be a canvas bag, but then it came out to be a vinyl bag, and everyone was losing their shit over a shit bag that they got from a pre-order. Prosty says that article title was pure clickbait. I mean, sure, but I just saved, 30 people from clicking on it, so there you go. And we read it, and then when we read it, we know that it's not official yet, but we can have a conversation about it regardless. Cliff says, I don't think it's a demo. I think it's the character creator. Oh, is it just the character creator? Cliff says, news came out that it's not even that bad. They were hired for that, and then they knew they would be eventually lose their job. But that's my point. There's people that are running with the story that Marvel Rivals is like in trouble. You know what I mean? And meanwhile, the people they got rid of had nothing to do with the main game. It says recent news did have NetEase CEO say that they was going to can Marvel Rivals because the Marvel. Oh, you mean this job right? This thing right here? You mean this one right here? Yeah. Quantum Dream. So I don't see studios closing, but Eclipse might be canned due to the license. Well, regardless if they're closed or if they cancel the game, that's 4 years, 5 years of their time completely wasted. Now that they start back over. That's why I said it's not official yet. If the game is being canceled or the studio's closing. It says Fallout 76 bag was terrible. However, the Destiny 2 bag was dope. What, did they have a bag? We know Dolphin got a tower. Got the gray, bland-looking tower that lit up with little meeples that came with it. Travis says, wait, you mean people farming content without any information just for content? No, say it ain't so, Mike. I mean, we just cover news stories, have conversations, right? I said it right ahead before we even started the conversation. I said, nothing's proven yet, so take it with a grain of salt. Water Bear says, if Marvel Rivals isn't in trouble, I would really feel bad for the 99% of the other games of service that's not doing so well. Well, if Marvel Rivals is in trouble, Water, and people are saying, right, let's look at, you know what? Let's look at what trouble is, right? Let's look at what trouble is. Let me look this up real fast. Right? If this is trouble, which is 168,000 people playing right now. Okay, 344,000 in the last 24 hours and 644 all-time peak. If this is trouble numbers, then I would hate to see what real trouble numbers look like. Okay? Which we're about to look at because, again, yes, I know it's on Game Pass and Avowed's been out for a week, okay? But if Marvel Rivals is in trouble, what is this? Do you know what I mean? If Rivals is in trouble, what is this? And if they're in trouble, let's look at Overwatch 2, right? They must also be in dire straits as well, right? Make sure we keep the same energy across the board when people say certain things. And I know you're not saying it, but Ron Sledger says it's the end for Marvel Rivals. Yes, it's the end. The only thing that's end was the first half of season 1. That's the only thing that ended for Marvel Rivals. The first half of season 1. Dolphin plays with his gray tower every day. Yeah, he looks at it. He wakes up in the morning and looks at that. So glad I pre-ordered. So glad. Altered says Star Wars Eclipse should be renamed to Star Wars Sunset. Oh, nice one. That's 2 points. 2 points for Alterm. Illy says I got the bag with the solar powered battery pack. Oh, I remember that, Illy. I do remember that. Now, speaking of Avowed, right? Me and Akuda Papa were talking a little bit, and you guys saw my post in Discord this weekend. So I'm about 17 hours in, right? I'm 17 hours in, and I'm really liking Avowed, right? I'm really liking it. The combat, the exploration stuff, very cool. The dialogue's not bad. Voice acting is good, okay? Dialogue's not too bad. Stories so far, I'm following it, right? But we watched, one review on stream? I've watched 2 or 3 reviews total. I watched Maddie Plays, I watched Skill Up, and I watched some random channel of Avowed, okay? What I think is funny, and a lot of people that are talking crap about Avowed, it made me wonder, or made me realize, I should say, that I realized this before with other games, but the people that are bitching about Avowed, majority of them haven't played Avowed. And I know this because of what they're saying. They're just parroting of the people that they watch the reviews on. And the reviews didn't go into other things in the game, such as the camp system, right? So in the camp system, there is a crafting system and there is a level up system, okay? Nobody ever went into, in the big groups of main reviewers, never talked about how you can level up a common weapon all the way up to a legendary weapon or a unique weapon, right? They never talked about how your companions in your camp, while you're talking to them, dialogue-wise, that you can actually get points that get passively put into your stats, okay, by getting trained by your actual characters, right? No one's brought that up in at least the reviews that I saw, okay? Another thing that they don't tell you about is the actual dialogue. They said didn't affect, and we actually happened to come across it by accident, right? Because one of our things where we were doing a mission, it was on Thursday night, I think, when we were playing after the podcast. We were playing a mission. I did the mission and I died, and then I had to run back up there and do it again. I didn't want to hear the dialogue options again, so I just hit A. But my first time doing it, I picked like option 1 or option 3, and then option 5 or whatever, and I was going around. But then I wanted to just go back around, so I just started smashing the buttons. The very first time, I had to fight these group of people, okay? I had to fight the whole group of people. But then when I went back because I died, and I just smashed the button, they handed me the key and said, oh. And I was like, oh, wait a minute, I didn't have to fight them? So I started noticing there, I was like, oh, your actual choices do matter. And I started doing other things in the game, and my choices have mattered now from where the consequence of my actions did differ from what I did before. And I thought that was pretty interesting. No one's really brought that up. They said in the reviews that I watched said that the dialogue doesn't really matter. It all ends up the same. But that's not true. Right? So, one, a lot of the reviewers, and again, this is my problem with reviewers, is they don't play the full game. They have to get their game out on time. They have to talk about, I just want to know what the game is, right? I want to know what the game is. And a lot of these people that do reviews don't tell us about what the game is. Is the game good? Meaning, not your opinion if it's good. What is in the game, right? What systems are in the game? Tell us what the systems are, right? And this game shows me more. It's exposed more of the curtain, pulling behind the curtain. Even the people that I liked watching are still not diving into the game and telling you what the actual game is. Right? So I was getting upgrades for my actual characters by talking to my companions at the camp. Right? Now, some of the people that they're like, I don't like the camp system, so they just off-put the camp. They're like, well, I don't even like the camp. So they missed that whole point of the camp. Right? Other people are like, oh, the dialogue is not that good, so they just hit the button and just smash through and said the story was just whatever. Okay? And that, to me, is so disingenuous about what the game actually is. Just report on the game. Play the game. Tell me what the game is. The ins and outs. A couple years ago, they gave shit to a girl. I forget the reviewer's name. She played a game. I even forget what the game was, but she missed out on a complete section of the game because she didn't want or didn't like that part of the game. And then people gave her shit because she didn't report on the full game. Yet here we are, just 2-3 years later, and other reviewers are doing the exact same thing she did because they didn't like a certain aspect of the game, or they didn't like the dialogue of the game. They didn't partake in the actual game. So then everybody else watches these people, okay? And then they start parroting what the game is. And I'm just like, why? Okay? So I came actually across a village. Now I'm going to give shit a little bit to Avowed, all right? Because Avowed, there's moments where I saw NPCs walking in town. And I was like, holy shit, there's people walking in town. Then I fell into the water, and I saw fish in the water. And a lot of people are saying, well, there's no fish in the water. And there aren't. Because you could go to any other part of the world, and there's no fish in the water, okay? There was only fish in this one section of the water. There was only where you shoot into the water and it activates with the water. Like if I hit it, the water splashes. Only in like one section. So then this tells me that they did have people walking in town. They did have fish in the water. They did have where you interact with certain things in the game. And yet the rest of the game doesn't have it. Why? Well, is that management's problem now? Is that timetable that they pushed out? They didn't have time to do it? What's going on, Fate Walker? Nice to see you, man. Right? Is it the management problem? Is it the devs problem? Is it the CEOs? Did they push this out the door before it was ready? Now, remember, Avowed was supposed to be last year, but they pushed it back for us for our backlogs. Remember that? To help us with the backlogs. Not to help with the game, but to help with the backlog of games. Okay? Because there was just too many games coming out. So, in the game, I see things that are in the game, but they're not in the game everywhere. That shows me that the game was pushed out way before it was supposed to be done. But that's just my thoughts. All right, let me see what you guys are saying about this. Let me scroll back up here. Let's see here. I wear my Starfield watch now with my my Destiny bag on my other arm. I wear my Pip-Boy, and everyone in the town center knows how cool I am. I can see you, Hilly. I can see you walking around, on, and you got your phone in there, and you're looking for directions, and you got your backpack on. I can see it. I can see it. He says, I watched Wolfheart play demo of Solus 2 and also need voice and conversation. Okay. Ray says, Avowed is getting attacked like crazy because of the anti-woke grifters who are 100% wrong about Indiana Jones, so they need this game to fail so the Xbox woke narrative stays afloat. I mean, I guess, Ray. I mean, I don't even care about that stuff. You know what I mean? I'm just talking about the game itself. As a gamer, I want game reviewers to tell me about the game. Do you know what I mean? I just want them to tell me about the game. Hilly says, my issue with the crafting is that I like it, but I want to make stuff using all available options. I keep having to select and craft if it gives you an option to multi if you have enough, but any available. I will agree with you that the crafting is not like why. Like if I to level up my gear, I need the what is it the iron, or the steel, right? The steel ingots or whatever it is. And if I need them to make the thing, then just take all my things and make it into this. Why do I have to do like one by one or push down the thing? It's like they put it in there like, yeah, let's add a crafting system, but let's make it the most uninteresting thing possible. Now, regardless if it's uninteresting or the way it's done is bad, it's still in the game. Sarge says reviewers don't get the game early enough to actually review the game. That's bullshit, Sarge. They have to they get the game in plenty of time, right? I could put in plenty of time, right? I have 17 hours in the game, and I've seen things in this game that nothing was mentioned in any of the reviews. I just left the first part of the first island. I completed everything in the first section. I moved over to the next island, or whatever it is, the next section, and that's where I stop, and we'll play that tonight on stream. Travis says, Mike, it's kind of like how they hate settlement in Fallout 4, but as such, I realized after 400 hours, it's not terrible. It's just the function is terrible. Hey, Walker says, good morning, 30. 8. Let's see. Travis says, 30. It's like people complaining that they can't destroy shrines in the East Shadows. Like, yes, but it put it in the game, and some of the point, and you have to say the player's choice do their own thing. Sure, I guess. Come on, X Factor. Argus says, back when I was in Destiny Mega Fan, years ago, I bought the $170 Crown of Sorrows raid jacket that you only got for code if you beat in the first week game. I remember that. I gave shit to people that bought that jacket, Argus. I was like, wait a minute. I have to rush to beat the game to get the option to give them $200. I remember that. Oh, Mo, look, I understand you have to chew your own food, which I do. Games I want to play, I play, right? My problem is that the people that are reviewing the games, they're starting to fall into this pit of if they're doing it maliciously, if they're doing it by accidentally, right, because of time crunch or whatever. But if you're going to review a game, you got to show us what's in the game. Not your biases of the game and why they did wrong and why it's not this game and why isn't the game 12 years later. Tell us what the game is and what the systems are in the game. Because the people, right, the people that want to buy the game want to know what's in the game. Sarge says, what game was that? The one that where the female journalist skipped the section of the game? I forget the damn game. I forget which one it was, Sarge. Rebsy says, a thing that might be impactful reviews are amount of games releasing this month. If Avowed is 6 out of 10 for them, they could play Monster Hunter Wilds at 9 out of 10 for them. That would play Wilds. That's not my problem. This is the same conversation, Krebsy, that Mark Dara had, right? It's not my problem as the customer what is good or bad or why you didn't do what you did. The end product is the end product. So if you're a game reviewer and you want to play a different game because you want to review a better game, that's not my problem. My problem is if you're a reviewer, review the fucking game. You know why I don't do reviews? Because I don't want to review a fucking game. Okay? But the people that want to review games, review the game. Review the game for the good, the bad, and everything in between, not because you're trying to get through it as fast as possible so you can get to the next other game that you're not going to do a full review on. Avowed is a defense edition next year, or definitive edition next year. Avowed will be also epic free game in 2 years. Sarge says that's because the game journalists are part of the narrative and not non-biased review process. But I'm even talking about the people that are on their own, though, Sarge. They're not playing the full game and telling us what's in the game. I'm finding stuff in the game that no one brought up in any of their reviews. Wasn't Avowed touted as a possible Game of the Year contender? What happened to that? Who said that though, Water? Who said that it was Game of the Year? That the fans or the people? Like the people that made the game, or the fans of the game? Travis says, I guess what I'm saying is if the player chooses to do or not do or do things, it's not on the dev, it's on the player. If you don't take advantage of the system, that's on the player and the reviewer, not the devs. If you're a reviewer, if I'm reviewing this mouse, okay, if I'm reviewing this mouse and it's got extra buttons on the side, and I never bring those, I never tell you what these buttons do. I just tell you, like, yeah, this is a great mouse. Smells really good. It feels really great in my hand. It's very sensitive. It works very well. But I never bring up the other fucking buttons. Am I giving you a full review of the mouse? I am not. I'm failing you as a reviewer. Okay, tell me about the product. Ward says, "Thanks for the great content, 30. Keep up the great work." I appreciate that, Ward. Thank you very much for the $5 super chat, man. Appreciate it. Says, I do find it odd that they made jumping off the cliff script to certain spots and not like the natural law of the game. It works anywhere. That's what I'm saying. So this is the shit that I'm giving Avowed now, the developers of Avowed. If it's the CEO, if it's the head up director, or if it's the devs themselves, they did certain things in this game, like jumping off and where you can jump into the water, but it's not scripted in other places. There's fish in the water, but not in other places. You can shoot the water in this one spot, but not other places. There's people walking around a town, but only like 2 of them, and not everywhere else. It's like they ran out of time for the game, but yet they pushed it out there. Right? So if they did do that, and there are people walking around the town, but only in this small section, and there are fish in the game, but only in this small section, then 100% do we have the right to look at this and compare to other games that had these things in the game, because they also have it in the game. They just refuse to do it for the rest of the game. Kate Walker says, we need to review reviewers to categorize which reviewers is best for you. I'm not even asking that, though, Fake. I know you're joking, right? If I watch Skill Up, right? I like Skill Up's reviews. I like ACG's reviews. I like certain people's reviews for stuff, right? For the most part, they're good. But when I watch a review and I'm like, all right, then I play the game myself, and they don't talk about this whole section, but they have a whole section in their video. They're talking about something else and why it doesn't like Skyrim, or it's not like this game. That's not the best that you could have done for your review. You could have told what the rest of the game is. I like the reviews that drop a month to a year later. There's some good reviews out there, right? Now people are starting to do reviews of like their early reviews. They're like 5 to 10 hours in, and then they do another thoughts video afterwards when they're done with the game. Dolphin says, you have a point, 30. For example, Skill Up only put 8 hours in the first area. Everyone I've talked to put almost 20 hours in the first area they rushed. I have 17, almost 18 hours in that first area, completing everything. The bounties, finding all the loot, doing all the different hidden passages. What else? All the boss battles, right? I did everything, 17 and a half hours. Ray says, Sony fans keep saying that all Xbox games are Game of the Year contender just to troll them after it releases. Must be a review of the entire game for what it is. Right. And that's what I'm saying, Mo. If you're going to review a game, I don't care what the game is. I don't care if it's Pretty Princess or fucking the next Elden Ring game. Okay? If you pick the game to review, then review the game. Go on, Sin. Travis says, I have the ultimate idea. From now on, we should have a new category of the Game Awards, Best Reviewer, and the most IGN reviews to IGN of that year. Avowed, Ray says, Avowed needed 1.5 or 2.0 like Cyberpunk. I'm more mad at Avowed for when as I'm playing through the game, I see certain things happening, and I'm like, well, why didn't that happen over there? Right? That they pushed this game out. Right? There's no difference of what Avowed just did and what Assassin's Creed's doing, or Star Wars Outlaws did. Right? They're all the same. They take a game that's not complete, but at least Avowed's in a somewhat state of what it is. They chose, specifically, all right, well, we need to get this game out at this time, so let's not make the characters move, like the background move, right? But there's still ones that were moving, right? Let's not work on fish for the rest of the game because it's not really a big deal. So they prioritized what was right or wrong with the game. I guess you can give them a bonus there. But when you compare it to other games in the past, and you're like, well, this has this and this game doesn't, but this game does have it, just in very minimalistic areas in the game. Kylo says, kind of crazy that Matty wasn't a huge fan of Avowed, and Xbox fanboys are attacking him and saying he's just rage baiting for views because he doesn't like Xbox game. Get a grip, people. I mean, I would have to listen to his review again. I listened to Skill Ups, and Skill Up missed a bunch of stuff in this game. Which now I look at it and go, well, should I... If the next game I'm interested in and Skill Up does a review of, I have to take him at a face value, which is not really reviewing the game. It's just telling us the surface level of what the game is. Right? Just like, CD Projekt Red, Cyberpunk came out broke, buggy, and unfinished. So the next CD Projekt Red game that comes out, I'm going to be a little hesitant of picking it up because the last game they came out with wasn't good at launch. So I'm going to be hesitant of their next game when it comes out. Titan says, Obsidian worked on Grounded and Outer Worlds 1 and 2. How come Avowed turned out less unfinished? Did making it so many games at the same time with so many studios idea for them? I don't know, Titan. Because they what they said, they wanted one game a year for like the next 5 or 6 years they've been working on. I mean, again, from a business standpoint, is the minimal viable product what they're putting out, Avowed, getting an 80, right, on Metacritic or whatever, and doing well. Again, we don't know. I'm talking metrics of their side that we don't know. If Microsoft is happy with the engagement they got from Game Pass, if they're happy with the game sales that they did get sold, right? If that's 1 million copies, 1.5 million or whatever, are they happy with that? Then by all means, then they're going to keep doing what they're doing. Because if that's the lower tier, if they only spent $120 million, $150 million on the game, and it got exactly what they thought it was going to get, well, that's a win for them. For us as the consumers, I look at this and go, why did you push this game out? This game's not ready for come out, right? Like, it's stable, at least on console, but the RPG experience could have been a lot better if they just kept it in the oven just a little bit longer. Ellie says 17 hours for me, still in the first area. Waterbear says, does it completing everything in your area make it a better game overall? Just asking from a review standpoint. I think if you're a person that likes to play RPGs with the story elements of the stuff, Water, I would say it would make a better game for you if you care about story, right? If you're a person that's playing the game for the game and you just play the game, then by all means, run through the game and kill everything that you want to kill and move on to the next thing. But the game is an action RPG, and RPGs in general are for the story. If the story is filled in by your choices that do, your choices do matter on the outcome that happens, then you have to at least report that, right? And the reviews that I saw said that the choices don't matter. But I've already come across a couple of things that it has mattered. Everybody says, I think the reviewer is at a lose-lose situation. If they don't like the game and get a quick review out of it, they are idiots. They spent 200 hours and they don't like it, they are idiots. I mean, the way I look at it, Krebsy, is if you choose to do something, right, then you should do it to its completion. If you're getting a game from a company, it's your job to give them the best thing because they gave you a code. To give them the best thing that you can produce, to give them the best product. Best realistic product, like your product. They give you a key to their product, and now your product is to review their game. And if you don't want to do it because you don't like ARPGs and all of a sudden you're reviewing an ARPG, but it's not the one that you liked, or you're reviewing a survival game and you're not a survival guy, then don't fucking review the game, right? If you're not going to do it right, then don't do it at all. Pretty Princess was a good game, but she was too ugly. Yeah. Like, complaining about the game doesn't make a game better. Just meant you spent more time in the area, and that's still incomplete. What about the middle ground between quick and 200 hours? Enough hours for a decent review. I mean, if you're going to review the game, review the game. That's all I'm saying. So do people, when you build a house, you're building a house and you're like, I'm just going to skip this. I got to put 6 nails in every piece of wood. Nah, I'm going to put 3. Storm comes, rips out the fucking house, and you're like, man, maybe I should have put 6 nails in each of those boards. Brad says, here's my question. When you think about the problems this game has, can they be fixed with patches? Yes. And my point, though, House, is that the game was pushed out too early. The game was pushed out too early, just like most other games, right? Which pisses me off because they delayed this game from last year. It was supposed to come out in like August, November, and they went, no, we're going to postpone it till February because backlog, not because the game's not finished. Ray says Avowed should have been delayed. There's also been Right Mind releases 2 RPGs, one after another. Game Pass. Xbox is bad. It's spacing their Game Pass games. That's a whole nother division that's messing up based on what they're putting in the game. You know what I mean? Robert Jones says 30. Recommend Avowed. I can't recommend anything yet, Jones. I'm 17 hours in. I'll let you know when I'm done with the game and if I can recommend it. I mean, if you have Game Pass, I recommend you playing it on Game Pass because you're not losing anything if you already have Game Pass. Then says I was hopping back into Avowed today. I don't know how it happened, but I got pulled away from it by other Game Pass game called Kingdom 2 Crowns over the weekend. Oh, Sarge likes that game. Yeah, Sarge likes that game. That's the one we talk about on GXG, or Sarge talks about on GXG. Oh, it says, hell, Mike, 75% of the reviewers said your choices don't matter. Right. Okay. And my whole thing was, I came across 2 different scenarios, okay, that my choices did matter. Completely 2 different things that happened. Eclipse says, I can tell the skill up didn't play the game because he says his companions are always telling him to level up his weapons. My companions have never said it once. I've never paid attention, but I don't think they've ever told me to level up my weapons. But then again, maybe it's because I upgraded my weapons on my own. Definitely makes a difference. I didn't kill the assassin. I already know what the choices affected the story. That's what I'm saying, right? I didn't even do what you did, right? But I did something else, and I'm like, that's a completely different. It's like choose your own adventure book, right? I didn't choose this, and now it went this different path. Hard to trust a review that drops when the game releases. I just think that reviews, they're all just doing it so they can get it out there first. And I get it. It's a business, right? They're just trying to get their review out there first because they're going to get 100,000, 200,000 reviews. They're getting paid. They're doing their game. Okay. But it's just very, just like I said earlier, the game that I want to love, like CD Projekt Red's next game, I'm holding off because of their last game that came out incomplete, right? Obsidian, their next game that comes out, okay, I might hold off, right? Which is Outer Worlds 2, because it might have the exact same problems as Avowed does. They had stuff in the game and they pushed it, and they're like, oh yeah, no, it's complete, but it really isn't complete, right? And look, I totally get it. Avowed, I haven't had a major problem with Avowed, okay? But what I'm saying here is, if they said that they were comparing it to Oblivion, Morrowind, Skyrim, saying, well, Skyrim does this, but this doesn't do that. They do this, but they don't do that. Fallout New Vegas did this, they don't do that. But then when you go to certain parts of Avowed, they do that. The arrow that you shoot off a certain thing will bounce off, where the other ones it sticks in. There are fish in the water. There is interaction with other NPCs that are walking and feels that small section of the town feels alive. And if they did that there, but it's not anywhere else in the game, then that just shows me that they said, stop what we're doing. Let's work on more important things, and then let's release the game. Where if they just waited and released the game later, they could have made it as good as this game. They could have raised the bar to what the other RPGs were at this time. Like the NPCs walking, jumping off cliffs, etc., could have been placed where the decision matters to be limited to a certain places. I just feel like they didn't finish the game like they wanted to. They finished the game because they had to get it out the door. Hey, Walker says I always ask streamers and / content creators at this point, then going to reviewers, or if they would like it. I find people who play it like I do get their early initial thoughts. That's the way I play a game. So when people come in and watch me play the game, I can give you my thoughts of what I played, but I can't give you a review. And even at the end of this whole thing, I'm not going to give you a review and a score of like, well, this is a 7 out of 10. Because my 7 or 8 is different than your 7 or 8. Right? But I will tell you, hey, is it worth your money? Is it worth $60? Right? Last week I said, Avowed is like the Fisher-Price RPG. It's like my first RPG, right? It's a good RPG, but it's not in-depth like the other RPGs, which is sad because I think it could. It could be that. Ellie says, my companion told me once, but I need to, now it doesn't, but I level up my more. Yeah, I think if you level up yourself, I've never heard him say you should level up your weapons. During the fight, he actually tells me, hey, switch weapons to a different weapon if your weapon doesn't do enough damage. So there's certain weapons that do certain things against certain enemies. Ellie says, if Skill Up has items he hasn't crushed for resources, he could also lose those. He's also carrying stuff around he needs to break down. Right, which if he wasn't, again, I don't know. If he wasn't interested in that part of the game, then he probably didn't do it. That's why he didn't talk about it, which I think is a fundamental problem. As a reviewer, you should tell us what it is or isn't in the game. Right, because if you tell me it's not in the game, right, because you're not saying anything about it, and then I'm like, oh, man, I really wish there was a crafting system in the game. Right? I'm not saying he said this, but what I'm saying is if a reviewer doesn't mention the crafting system because they're not interested in the crafting system, they give you a review, and then you watch that review and go, oh, man, I wish there was a crafting system. And then you think there's no crafting system, but there is a crafting system. Then that's a fundamental problem by the reviewer. Dustin says, I 100%ed about. How many hours did you put in it, Dustin? How many hours did you? You 100%ed it, meaning you did everything. One thing I think of the game should have been $60 to $50. I don't think it's a $7 game. Ron says my backlog is still backlogged. Didn't have enough time. Didn't have enough time. Travis says, real question. You ever see a movie, absent of malice, if it goes over this, about how the journalists always rush their articles out and then instead of waiting for the full info? Right. And this is why a lot of... Look, I try to do this, even though this morning we had a video, or the very first story was about the Star Wars could be canceled. I said take it with a grain of salt. Usually I won't run or talk about stories if there's not the full story yet. Right? Because I don't want to do that. Well, we'll talk about rumors and stuff like that, but for most stories, I'll be like, that one's still developing. I'll leave it as is. We'll talk about it when it actually is a news story. We do that all the time for GXG. All the time. Sarge always asks me, is that really news? I'm like, oh. And he's like, we're not doing that. Was it the game where the female journalist skipped the crafting? That was the name of the damn game. I don't know, Sarge. I don't remember the name of the game. It was an IGN. Wasn't it an IGN? Remember? Kevin says, speaking of new Brave New World, was doing so hot. I was right with the outcome, wrong about the price, right? So I said it would make about $400 to $450 It's not going to make that. It's not going to make that, Krebsy. So I was wrong on my low prediction. I should have went lower, right? Here, I'll bring that up real fast, right? So remember, the articles were written. The articles were written saying that Brave New World is going to make so much money opening weekends, #1 at the box office. It's gonna make so much money. Well, it's at 289 million. I don't even think it made 100 million the second weekend. Okay, and it had an 82% drop off rate. 82% from Friday to Friday. Okay, and I did say that from the Monday to the following week, it would drop to, I said about 5 million, but it was to about 7.2. Okay. So it didn't do very good, and it's not going to do very good. It will not make 400 million. It might, but I said between 4 and 450 is what I said, which would still lose them about $200 to $300 million. Right? Because people went to go see it. The people that are going to see it are going to watch it because they're fans, or they were interested, or they were, tricked in going because, oh, it looks cool. Then they saw it, and then the word of mouth starts to spread. And the word of mouth said, no, it's a bad movie. And everyone else is like, yeah, I'm not going to go see that. And hence why it goes from 40, 27, 20 to 11 to 7. Saturday's always going to be higher, and then it's just done. This movie's done. Ray says, many of the scared Microsoft Netflix strategy, the way that they use the AA and start using ray tracing, what they pump games at high speed, and no matter if it's perfect or not, there's something for everyone. Altern says, but the game needs to be $70 for $100 so that day one Game Pass looks more juicy than it actually is. Right, Altern. The higher the price the games go, the more Game Pass looks very, very appetizing for people. Travis says, I know a part of it is, and I have friends who also like, I don't care about the theater, and I wait till it's on streaming. Can only imagine this is the most people now. So I have a question. Those of your friends, they still buy video games, or do they play video games on Game Pass and streaming services? Just wondering. Because it'd be pretty hypocritical to say, well, you got to buy games if you want to support the devs, and then yet not go to the theaters to support the people that are making the movies. I always thought that Thunderbolts looked more fun. Thunderbolts is going to be a piece of shit as well. Start says, create problem, sell solution. Travis says, the theaters are outdated and need to die. Gaming is a physical, is how it should be. With that being said, I don't agree with them. Well, if theaters are outdated and should be gone, shouldn't consoles are outdated and they should be gone as well? Are consoles the theater in this scenario? If everybody likes video movies and TV shows coming on streaming services, but they don't like the games coming to streaming services, theaters aren't going anywhere? Yeah, either are consoles. Consoles are staying around. Just the majority of the people are watching it at home. Most of the people are not going to theaters. Majority of the people are not playing games on console. Most of the people are going to streaming services or digital. Arcades would be theaters. Yeah. Thunderbolts could be a fun B plus movie. Sure, still gonna be disjointed. Did you guys see what Kojima said? Kojima said he went to go see the movie Captain America, Brave New World, and he was completely lost. He's like, I'm confused because when did Sam become Captain America? Because the last thing he watched was Endgame. Okay, didn't watch the TV show. He goes, when did a giant a giant god end up in the ocean? He didn't understand what that was about either, right? So to just watch Brave New World, you had to watch the old Hulk from what 18 years ago. Okay, you had to watch Winter Soldier, not Winter Soldier, Falcon and Winter Soldier. Okay, and you had to watch the Eternals just so you could find out what the hell's happening in this film. Brad says, do theaters really need to charge as much as they do for tickets? I thought they all make their money on the concessions. Theaters don't make any money off the ticket prices, House. The theater buys the movie or rents the movie to put in their theater. Okay? The theater makes very little money off of the actual tickets at the beginning. So what used to happen, I don't know what it is today because I don't know how long what the deal is, but back when I worked in the theater, so let me take a Star Wars film for you, like a big blockbuster film that would come out back then, okay, during 1999, 2000, 2001 type of era. When Star Wars came into theaters, okay, Lucas would have a contract where the movie had to be in the theater for 8 weeks. 8 weeks in the main theaters, the big giant, like where you had the most people could sit, okay? 8 weeks in the theaters, and on top of that, they got $0. The theater had $0, and they would make all their money off concessions. Okay. After week 8, the theater would start getting like 20% in the first week after. And then week 9, they would get like 30%. And then week 5, week 9 or 10, they would get like 20% or 50%. The longer it stayed in theaters, the more money they would get. Well, obviously, the longer it's in theaters, the less people are coming to the theater to watch the movie unless they're repeating watching the movie. Okay. So they wouldn't make money off of the actual theater, so they have to make money off the concession prices, right? The movie company dictates what the actual ticket is, okay, because of how much they had to buy the movie for, or rent the movie for, to watch in the theater, right? Fate Walker says, I think theaters make maybe $2 per ticket. I don't even think it's that much. It might be now. I don't know, but it's been years. It all depends who it is, right? I guarantee you Disney probably doesn't give $2. Because Disney's the type of company that's like, you should be honored that we're giving you our movies to you. Right? That's what they do with their sodas and stuff like that. Right? They'll ask Coke for free product. Right? They don't charge them anything, and Disney's like, well, it's good advertising for you. Theaters pays so much taxes. Government loves the tax and the death and the service service provider we love. Same spot as you. Those TV series daunting. Fate Walker says, I think it's on average 20% tickets, 80% concessions. It all depends on what studio is giving them the deal. Disney will just buy their own tickets. Well, they've done that in the past. Hypothetically. Yeah, it's a mess. Theaters are a mess. But I just think it is funny that Travis brought up, people don't want to go to the theaters because they want to wait for it to come home. But these are the same people that will defend video games and be like, "Well, I want to buy a video game because I want to support the devs," but they won't support the people that make the movies. But they want to watch the movie, right? Hypothetically, sorry. Hypothetically. I mean, I think they do, but hypothetically. All right, next story. Assassin's Creed Shadows gameplay is being leaked online as early copies are already in players' hands. So we're talking about games that are not out yet, right? They release early, they release late, they're still broke, they're still buggy, they're out in the, right? Here's a situation where the game was supposed to come out in November, okay? They got pushed back because of not polishing, okay? But now there's hard copies already out in the world. People are already playing the game, okay? So if you guys like what we do here, We do this Monday through Thursday. We just talk about news stories, have conversations, go back and forth with chat. If you like it, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you'd like to go above and beyond that, become a member as little as $5. All right, so Assassin's Creed Shadows gameplay is being leaked online as early copies are already in the players' hands. Early physical copies of Assassin's Creed Shadows have already found their way in players' hands, resulting in early gameplay of the game being streamed and uploaded online. I wish there was a way that they could figure out who stole it, because no one's allowed to give it away, but, obviously people do. They're like employees at GameStop, could be mom and pop shops, doesn't matter, right? According to X, formerly Twitter, Danny Stevens, copies of the game are obtained via Facebook Marketplace. Inside Gaming were unable to find any copies on Facebook UK Marketplace. Stevens claims were backed up in pictures of the game's case's installed screen and several gameplay photos. Those images have been since deleted. So that's how you know it's real, right? Because if they actually pull it down, that means they didn't want it out yet. Okay? After searching for the game online further, it seems that Ubisoft is aware of the situation and currently DMCA striking a lot of content post online. Nevertheless, though, some gameplay images and fall through the cracks, so we're aware of your sensitive of spoilers. Now, here's the thing. What I always think is funny is that this is why the industry wants to go 100% full digital. This is why they hate physical copies. One, you could sell that physical copy back, and then they could sell it to somebody else, and they don't make money off that. This is one of the reasons that they go full digital. Because if they go digital, they can stop this from happening unless someone hacks into the system and whatnot and then steals the actual game. Okay. But hard copies can get out early. If they get out early, you have a nightmare like this on your hands. Okay. So it's unclear on why the copies of the game have started to be sold at such an early stage, as typically physical copies begin leaked around 2 to 3 days before launch. Assassin's Creed was delayed twice, including a recent delay that moved the game from February 14th, released to March 20th. So it's possible that the game had already been printed on masses. Okay? It was said that the second delay was also needed to give the game additional weeks to implement changes based on feedback received from players during the testing. Mark Alex Cote said that since November, we've been thrilled to share the progress through the gameplay overviews, and overwhelming excitement has truly inspired us. Each week, we brought valuable feedback from the community. While we've already made the remarkable strides, we believe that the few additional weeks that we needed to implement the feedback to ensure even more ambitious and engaging day one experience. Assassin's Creed Shadows is scheduled to release on March 20th for the PlayStation 5, Xbox Series S, X, and PC. Ubisoft sources tell the Insider Gaming that the company is now confident in its new release date. Well, now you're going to get people play it. They're going to see footage, and they'll be like, oh, well, it doesn't have its day one patch yet. Okay? Hopefully, for their sake, okay, hopefully the game comes out, and the only shit that it gets is the same shit it was getting before, okay? And if the game comes out nice and polished, okay, and it's just getting shit on because it's not historically accurate and they have watermelons in the spring, okay, or the trees blooming in the wrong season, then cool. That's the baseline. But if the game comes out and actually mechanics actually work, the gameplay actually feels good, right? The story's good, then people will forgive it. Now, is this game going to make it or break it? I mean, I think this game is cooked regardless, personally, in my own opinion. I think this game is cooked anyway. I don't think it's going to sell very well. Do I think we're going to have an Avowed or Veilguard on our hands? I want to say no, but we've seen crazy things happen in the movie industry by thinking no movie could be worse than Morbius. Then Madam Web came out, then Craven came out, and then Borderlands came out. You know what I mean? Like, it's amazing how bad things can get. So I don't want to say that this can't be worse than what it is. But if the game comes out and the game speaks for itself, meaning that it's actually flushed out and it's actually good, then it'll do decent. But if it falls short of that because you have to wait for the day one patch, week one patch, 1 month patch, 6 month patch, then this game is cooked. These are just my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comment section down below. Please make sure you share, like, subscribe. What do you think about the early access, I guess, or the early copies being released into the wild? Do you think this is going to make or break the game? Do you think this is not a big deal? Let me know in the comment section down below. Let me know in the live chat what you guys think about Assassin's Creed Shadows. Are you going to be picking this game up when it comes out in less than 3 weeks? Let me know in the comment section down below. Please make sure you share, like, and subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next one. All right, let's. Sarge says Disney does buy their own tickets. Where's that one? Krebsy says I can't really say need to keep the lights on for the theater because it kind of needs to be dark. True. You need the snack bar. Jason says AC shadows. Or game being out this early tells me that the day one patch is going to be a bitch. Yeah. Yeah. Ray says Canada, Quebec, Montreal is losing the theater franchise. Gonzo, the rent of those theaters got so overpriced, the greedy landlords who want to build condos. Really? That sucks, man. So ridiculous. Fate says, I mean, the argument for always online for physical copies to help stop this. Yeah, that's exactly right. Cause the problem, sell the solution, right, though, Fate? Imagine again, I'm speculating here, but imagine Ubisoft did this on their own, right? Maybe Ubisoft wants to just go straight up Ubisoft Plus, and they want to just drop completely the physical copies, right? But the company's like, yeah, we don't want to do that yet. But then Ubisoft decides to go ahead and sell some of those. You get that in the news to be like, see, if we had digital, they all were just coming to the Ubisoft Plus, this wouldn't happen, right? It's happened in other industries in the past. Now, I'm not saying that that's what Ubisoft is doing, but we do know they did this with graphic cards, right? Graphic cards were being sold to another company, and then they sold those for high-end prices, even though they gave the company was like, yeah, we're selling the what was it, the 30 series or 20 series? Okay, when they came out with it, they came out with the 20 series cards back then, and they were like, oh yeah, it was going to be like $200, $300. But then they all got sold out. And then they got sold for thousands of dollars. And then they found out later that the company that was buying them and selling them was associated with the actual company itself. Okay? Happens in other companies, happens in other industries. Wouldn't put it past them here to see, we're just trying to get rid of the people that take the physical copies early. If we went all digital or they went to Ubisoft Plus, this wouldn't be a problem. 3 months old build. It's still in beta. Does have a day 1, day 2, month 8 patch. Oh, absolutely. Ron says this is exactly why every single game should have a game demo prior to launch. Amen. I agree with that. And this is exactly why I think a lot of people like using Game Pass for that scenario, Ron. Right? Even though they're paying $20 a month and there's games that they play, the games that come out day and date, they try them out, and if they like it, they continue playing it, and if they don't, then they move on with their life. Player says 30. Why do you think Avowed is doing bad? It's in the top 5 sellers on Steam, top 10 most played on and sellers on Xbox. I don't know why it's doing bad, player. I'll be honest with you. I'm enjoying my time. I'm about 17 and a half hours in the game right now, and I like it. Is it the greatest game I've ever played? No, but I think it's pretty good. Right? I'm enjoying the exploration. I'm enjoying the actual combat. The story's pretty good, not great. The voice acting is really good. Like, I don't get it. I think people really hate because of the art director. I think the other people hate it because it's Microsoft. I think the other people hate it because it's not on or not on PlayStation. Like, the game runs good, right? The game is, and by all means, I haven't glitched out or anything, and I'm pushing it to the limits, right? I'm like getting out of the map itself purposely. I'm climbing up on the mountains, and I'm going into certain things. Like, I'm breaking the game on my own, but the game itself hasn't broke on me. Robert Jones says 3 weeks. That's the game. 3 weeks always is the full game for sure. Oh yeah, the whole game's there for sure. I'm not happy with Yasuke, but I will support Ubisoft Last Hurrah moment. Ubisoft Plus also still badass. Ultron says Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 might be why it's not doing good. The game seems to be super long and RPG paradise, so people will probably be playing that more than Avowed. Sure, but they sold 2 million. Right? They sold 2 million. I guarantee you there's more than 2 million people playing Avowed. Now, again, I don't know what they sold, but I guarantee you there's more than 2 million people playing Avowed. a lot of people can play Avowed, and from a game studio point of view, you want the most people to play your game as possible. I guess I could turn on my Xbox and see. Let me see. Where do you go to look at that, player? Go to the store. I got top paid games, top new games, top free games. Most popular, most played games. I see most popular here. I can bring that. It is. Hold on. I gotta get to where's my Xbox? There you go. All right, most popular. It's third. Third behind Call of Duty, Minecraft, and then Avowed, and then The Hunter, Call of the Wild, then Madden. Right. If I go to top new games, not even there, at least on mine. Right. If I go to top paid games, Avowed is like 20th. Let me see. I got 6, 12, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 23rd overall. Xbox most played games. Xbox first $70 game was Redfall. $60 should have still be the real price of games. I skipped the premium edition. Oh, you know what? It's behind my. Was it top paid? There it is. Yeah, so it's 3, 6, 9. So it's in the top 10, right? But what does this mean though, right? Because let's say, right, the best sellers, right? Let me put this in perspective. And this is why I don't like going by these lists. Well, it's in the top tier list. Okay. When did 2K25 launch? When did it come out? Okay. And then we know that Kingdom Come Deliverance. Okay, because we got 2K25 up in the top 5 twice. Right. Then you have Kingdom Come Deliverance in the top 6 twice. Right. So we don't know if this one right here on Xbox sold 1,000 units. And then this could have sold 999. And this could have sold 998, right? We don't know if this sold millions of copies. We don't know if it sold tens of thousands of copies or tens of hundreds of copies. Right? So this is why I don't like looking at lists like this. This is why I always go with the actual list of what's the sales? Hence why I was saying that even though Kingdom Come Deliverance sold 2 million copies, there's 2 million people playing the game, right? But you have to buy that game, $70, $90, whatever it is. People are playing the game, okay? Where Avowed's probably played by 5 million, 6 million people because of it's on Game Pass and people can try it out. But that's my point, Krebsy, right? So we don't know if it's thousands or hundreds or tens of thousands. You scroll over, you can see the most played games. Scroll over, most played. Fortnite, Call of Duty, Rainbow Six Siege, 2K25, Minecraft, Marvel Rivals, Grand Theft Auto, and Avowed. Right? Again, it doesn't tell me how much it's sold. It also doesn't tell me how many people are playing. I could say that there's more than 2 million people playing the game, but what does that convert into as far as sales? You know what I mean? So, right. But that's my point. When they say, we just looked at Brave New World, #1 movie at the box office, it's going to lose money. It's not successful, right? It's obsolete to tell me that it's #1 on the list when we don't know what that #1 list is. Kingdom Come Deliverance, we know, sold 2 million copies. So that means they sold less than that, right? Kingdom Come Deliverance total from Steam and from console, 2 million copies, right? So let's just say 3 million. So we know anything below that is less than 3 million, but we don't know where. And as a gamer, I really don't care if they sell or not, right? But you're not going to pull one over on me for movies, for television shows, and tell me a game is popular, and yet show me stuff, and then I'm like, well, that's not popular. It's not. Because even though Steam only has 20,000 people at its max, what do we think? It's 10 times more on console? Probably not. It's a small niche game regardless. You think it's less than Veilguard? I mean, it's less than Veilguard on PC. It's probably way more on console, at least on Xbox, Titan. Like on Steam, it's way less than Veilguard by like 1/5, 1/4. Okay, but they also have other ways of playing it. So on PC, you can play it with Ultimate. You can play it on Microsoft Store. You can play it through Battle.net, and then you can play it on Xbox. Right? So there's way more outlets that you can play Avowed, but they're not going to share those numbers. They'll just come out and tell you it's successful, but we don't know those numbers. Yeah, PC Game Pass probably has more. I guarantee you, when it's finally said and done, they'll say like 5 million, 6 million people played it. Which, if you look back at their other past games, none of their games have ever been played that much. Let me see. New Vegas, back in the day, New Vegas sold 11.6 million copies worldwide, and that was across multiple platforms. Right? Multiple platforms. That was on Microsoft Windows, PlayStation 3, and Xbox 360. Right? So you're talking about 150 to 200 million people that could have played that game, and they sold 11.6 million. How many people played? I don't think they tell you the Outer Worlds number. Vegas came out way back when, so they still tell you 2010. So we know they sold 11.6 million copies. Let's see. Outer Worlds. Outer Worlds hits 5 million copies sold. How it compares to other Obsidian games. So this is back in 2023. Outer Worlds, it's 5 million. Outer Worlds hits 5 million copies sold. How it compares to other Obsidian games. Okay. Let's see. Outer Worlds received positive reviews. Critics' average Metascore ranging from 82 PC to 85 consoles. The game's development was led. Okay, so Grounded, over 15 million players as of 2022. So Grounded has 15 million players, but we don't know how many sold. Okay. Fallout New Vegas, 11.6 million copies sold. Okay. South Park, The Stick of Truth, 5 million units shipped. Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, 1.5 million units sold. Okay. Think about that for a second, right? Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic 2, 1.5 million units sold. And that people love that game. Did it matter that game didn't sell well? No. Because people that liked playing the game played the game. I don't care if a game sells well or not. Right? I play the games I want to play. I play the games. I like the games I like to play. Right? I don't care if it sells well. Okay. Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, one of the best games ever created for RPG wise, sold 1.5 million units as of February 2006. Okay. Oh, you can't see that? You can't see the thing? Sorry. There you go. Okay. Grounded, over 15 million players, 11.6 million copies sold. South Park, 5 million. Star Wars Knights of the Republic, 1.5 million sold. Everyone loves that game, but only sold 1.5 million. Marvel's Avengers sold more, and everyone hated that game. Anthem sold more. Everybody hated that game. Pillars of Eternity, over 700,000 copies sold as of February of 2016. Pillars of Eternity 2, no official data. Right? So, you know, what's successful? For me, I don't care. If I like a game, I play a game. What's successful for them? I'm not going to defend a game. I'm not going to defend a game when someone says it's number one on the box office or number one on the charts. I don't know what that number sold. Great. Being played. Speaking of people moving their games over to other platforms, right? Former Sony executive finally says the quiet part out loud. Putting PlayStation games on PC is almost like printing money. Okay? If you guys like what we do here, we cover news stories, have conversations. If you like it, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you'd like to go above and beyond that, become a member as little as $5. Right? So former Sony executive finally says the quiet part out loud. Putting PlayStation games on PC is almost like printing money. Been an obvious truth of ages console manufacturers have been missing out on a fat stack not releasing their games on PC. Microsoft long ago gave up on the pure Xbox exclusives and even releasing games on PlayStation now. Sony, meanwhile, has tactically acknowledged the fact for years, steadily releasing PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5 back catalog onto Steam. And then the last year releasing Helldivers 2 concurrently on both PlayStation 5, PC, enormous success. Now former Sony executive Yoshida has come out and said explicitly, releasing its games on PC is a license for Sony to print money. Speaking to Scared Symbols Plus, Push Square, about the time of the head of PlayStation Studios, explained that wanted to bring Sony games to PC, but far earlier than when it eventually happened. But it just wasn't the way Sony thought back then. Eventually, though, Sony has also sold its idea through a notion of releasing games on PC, now might entice players to buy PlayStations in the future. Well, releasing on PC does many things. It reaches a new audience on who do not own consoles, especially in regions where the consoles are not as popular, Yoshida said in an interview. The idea is that those people become fans of a particular franchise, and then when the new series comes out, they may be convinced to purchase a PlayStation. Yeah, a lot of people, though, they won't do that. They won't do that. Okay? If that was the case, right? If that was the case, think about this. Then more people would buy Halo because a lot of people liked Halo. That means more people would buy Halo, but the player base was the player base, right? That's why they didn't put Halo on other platforms. Like if you liked Final Fantasy, then you just on PlayStation. But Final Fantasy only loaded 2-3 million, right? So sure, I guess they were like, we'll get that 3 million crowd to come over to PlayStation, just get the 3 million people to come on PlayStation. Most people will be like, I'll wait. Majority will wait. Okay, minority will buy consoles and move over to console. Okay, It said it worked out well for us, but question whether the argument holds water. PC gamers can incredibly patient when it comes to playing games on their preferred platform. Right? Remember, these are the same people that won't go from Steam to Epic. They just won't. So you think these people that won't take their mouse and go an inch down the screen, a millimeter to go over to the next, little folder on their desktop, you think these people are going to go out to the store, buy a PlayStation to play your game? Think again. The majority of them will not do that. Okay. And since Sony has demonstrated the willingness to put nearly all its major exclusives on Steam except Bloodborne, PC gamers' respond would also simply be to continue waiting, and then again and again. Maybe Sony doesn't access the data suggests otherwise in that case. Yoshida also noted that it's an easy way for the publishers to generate extra income, stating that porting to PC is way cheaper than creating an original title. So it's almost like printing money. This helps also invest in the new titles now that it cost games has increased. So there you go. Porting to the PC is a better way. Hence why everyone's like, why are they making Days Gone? They should have made a sequel. Porting to PC is extra money for them instead of putting it into a new game. Okay. Another factor is swayed that Sony has released its games on PC in China, with Yoshida observing that China is a huge PC gaming market, and that in order to reach out the audience in the countries like China, then it's crucial to release on PC. China recently demonstrated its potential to catapult games an enormous success, with almost 90% of Black Myth Wukong's massive sales generated domestically, right? So obviously, the two big PC gaming markets, okay, is China and the United States. Okay? There's more people playing PC games in the United States and in China than any console ever created. Okay? It's the largest player base. So obviously, you're going to go towards that. Because there you have it. Console game plus PC launch equals profit. Yoshida has been dishing all manners of Sony-related details since leaving PlayStation last month. He theorized the reason that Bloodborne hasn't arrived on PC because I don't know his name, Hitake preferred to do the port himself, and this personally would have tried to resist Sony's push towards live service games. Okay, so obviously PlayStation can't sell their PlayStations in China because the largest market's PC, and they want to get the market. Well, how are they going to do that? Well, if they're not buying your PlayStation in China, what do you got to do? You got to move your games over to PC because that's where they're going to play. And that works over there, and that works over here as well. Right? Ramsey says 1/3 of PlayStation 5 users are new to the platform. They must come from somewhere, meaning it works in some form. Sure. 1 billion people playing PC games, 100 million people playing console. If you want to keep making that number, you can make that number go up as far as you think you can go up, but it will never, ever reach the magnitude. And I say never. Console will never, ever compete with PC in the numbers of people with PC playing on PC Gamer. Will never. Consoles will never, ever reach the consoles that we know. Xbox, PlayStation, unless they come sort of morph into something else, okay, they will never, ever sell as many PCs that are out there in the world. Not going to happen. So instead of trying to force people, 500 million people, to buy a console, take your games and put them over where 500 million people already are. Yes, there are kids that also have aged into gaming and not PC players. This is where the new PlayStation owners come from. Or it could be hackers on PlayStation 5 getting caught making new accounts. Sure. Argus says PC gamers are already willing to wait for a game to leave the Epic Store to come to Steam in the same platform. Most aren't going to buy a $500 to $700 before tax console that almost never touches. Exactly right. Think about that, Argus. To go from here to here on your PC, that's all it takes to download another platform where you can start playing other games. They're like, nah, I'll wait. But these people think that they're going to go out and 500 million people are going to come over to PlayStation to make the greatest console of all, right? The max is 160? We always look this up. Top selling consoles of all time. Just bookmark this, okay? Top selling console of all time has 160 million copies. Took them 25 years to get there. 160 million for 25 years. Good luck to you. waiting for all those people to go buy your PlayStation. Even if an extra 100 million people came and bought the PlayStation 5 right now, you would have 175 million, which is still 800 million less than where you could just take your game and put it on PC. And on top of that, people still push back on me. Consoles have sold less and less every single time a new system comes out. The console market is not popular, and it diminishes over the years. Okay. Nintendo Switch finally hits 150 million. There's only 3 consoles that have ever hit 150 million plus. Okay. PlayStation 2, Nintendo DS, and the Switch. 2 of them are mobile devices. Lucas says, I'll just wait until cheap phones can run high-end games. They all will remaster games for phones. Yeah. Yep. The last system before the Switch to hit 150 million was the PlayStation 2 from 2000. There's a huge change. There's a huge change from 160, 154, 150, okay, to 118. And that's Game Boy and Game Boy Color. 1989, 1998. That's a $32 million player drop. Okay? And PlayStation 4 in 2013 was 117 million. Player says they're really going to sell lesser than the next generation comes around. Starting prices at 700. Right. Which, if they start forming them into PCs themselves, you know, a lot of people don't have $300 again. This is a a hobby, right? This is entertainment. This is disposable income for video games. Right? People, if they look at this and go, am I going to buy a $700 system to play video games? Or am I going to buy a television set? Or am I going to buy a thumbstick? Right? Or it's already on my phone. Even though the phone's $1,000, I'm not paying for the phone to play games. I have a phone for a phone, and it also plays games. You got to remember, those of you that are 20 right now, okay, probably like, I don't want to play video games on a phone. Well, your younger siblings or your niece and nephews or your children that are coming up, they're conditioned to just be playing games on the phone or on the tablet, right? That'll be second nature to them by the time they're in their 20s. Ray says, I don't see consoles doing okay again because the PC GPU is getting stagnant. The only advantage now is the AI core fragmentation, something a next-gen console will get. The clip says, you notice that most of the consoles that hit 150 million was supported for like 10 plus years. Yeah. It takes a really long time to get to that point. World Renowned says, I generally push back on you with this. The console market is doing incredible. Incredible for what? Are you looking at it from a business standpoint? Or are you looking at it from a consumer standpoint? If it was doing wonderful and incredible, why is PlayStation putting their games on PC? If it was doing incredible, why is Xbox putting their games on PC? Like, that alone goes against what you're saying. $700 for 3 years of cross-gen PlayStation 5 games while the PlayStation 6 releases. You may think about PlayStation sells or sold at one time more than PC. I think PlayStation sells more sold at one time more than PC. There's no proof to any of that. PCs outsell like 9-1. I don't understand what number are you guys looking at? What number are you guys looking at? Consoles, the best of all time is 160 million. That's 9 times less than PC players that are potentially playing games right now on PC. Where are you guys looking to say that Consoles are doing fantastic. Xbox Series X and X right now is 28. I'll give them 35 million. Right? 35 million instead of this 28.3. I'll give them an extra 10. Okay? PlayStation 5. Okay? 74. So what? Another 5 years they'll be at 140? How is that incredible compared to where the gaming market is right now? Right? Each generation, Reese, each generation the console total number goes down. Each generation. PlayStation 5s are less sales in gen compared to the last gen in the same period. Regardless of that, even if PlayStation 5 becomes the #1 selling console of all time and hits 170 million, that's still 9 times less than what people are playing on PC. By your argument, Xbox putting their games on PlayStation is somehow proof that the consoles are doing fantastic, but that's not how financial. No. My argument is consoles are not doing fantastic, hence why Xbox has to put their games in more places. It's exactly the opposite of what I've said, world. Consoles are not selling well, hence why Xbox is putting their games on PlayStation, putting it on Switch, putting it on PC, because consoles are going down every single generation. PlayStation's hit the saturation point, hence why they're porting their games to PC. Xbox hit the saturation point, hence why they're moving to other platforms. The company wants to make more money. If they didn't want to make more money, they would just stick with the platform they're on. Console numbers would go up then. In your acknowledgement, they're doing incredibly well. Incredibly well. The last system to hit the numbers is 25 years ago. Right? The Switch, 150 million that just surpassed. The last one before that was the Nintendo DS in 2004. And the one before that was PlayStation. And it didn't hit 160 back in 2000. All right? It took to like 2011 for it to hit that many. Xbox shouldn't have a ban on the TV strategy. Many of the features I would also be loved in my living room. Well, they're all doing that now, though, Ray. Right? Like your PlayStation, your Switch, your Xbox. They all do YouTube. They all do Netflix. They all do all the stuff. Someone says, games I remember during the PlayStation 4, looking at some of the games numbers, PC less than Microsoft in middle. You're looking at it as specific games doing well on PC and specific games doing well on PlayStation. As a whole, the PC market, there's 19,000 games that came out on Steam last year. 19,000. Okay? 19,000 games came on. PC market sells so many games to so many different people and so many different. Like, you might like strategy games. Someone else might like simulator games. Someone else might like RPGs. They're playing so many more games on PC. Wait, there needs to be more console users than PC users in order for the console market to be doing great? No, what are you talking about? No other market analyst would also evaluate like this? What are you talking about, world? You know there's crossover, right? Like, I own an Xbox and a Switch and a PC. Then there's people that just own PCs. Then there's just people that own Switch, right? The majority of the population of gamers on the planet Earth, where I live, okay? PC gamers are the most played games. There's more PC gamers in the world than any other platform. These are facts. But now they're releasing games on PC 2 years after PlayStation 5 instead of I'll wait till the generation's over and definitely hurting PlayStation. The people that played games on PC didn't need to play the PlayStation games. They didn't need to play the Xbox games. They're just playing their games over on PC. Now that PlayStation, less and less people are buying PlayStations, less and less people are buying Xboxes, less and less people are playing on console. They have to move over to PC. Mars has no console players. These are also facts. At least right now, Ron. I'm sure Elon Musk will put a console on Mars. I'm sure they'll jump at the bid for that. What time is it? All right, let's go to the video here of Exodus. World says, again, you keep confusing Xbox poor console performance with console market. Consoles are doing fantastic. PlayStation 5 sales aren't great. This is just factually wrong. I don't get this. I don't know where you're standing. I don't have a pony in the fight. I'm not an Xbox guy or PlayStation guy. I'm just looking at the data. Okay? So I have no idea where you're coming from and your point saying that Xbox or PlayStation and consoles are doing fantastic. Consoles in general, Nintendo, PlayStation, and Xbox are not doing fantastic. If they were doing fantastic, they wouldn't be porting their games over on PC, where the two largest gaming markets are China and the United States in PC. Rabbi says, ignore that I'm just venting. This topic makes me want to drive my head through a wall with the amount of people not understanding the full scope of representing things. Not going into it, just venting over. Altern says, Elon Musk will put the first console on the moon, then on Mars. Yeah, but what console will that be, Altern? What console will that be? Margaret says, I don't know who's getting this metric from the consoles or doing incredibly right now. Studios are closing because the console games cost more than ever and failing. Consoles aren't selling anymore. I don't know. I don't know what people are looking at. Right? The only people that could look at this and go that consoles are doing fantastic are a person that's a Sony fanboy, right? Saying that the consoles are doing, but I'm not going against that. I'm going against the consoles in general are not selling as well, right? All right, let's see here. Just in the gaming market, right? Consoles in 2023, digital console gaming market generated 32.1 billion. Okay, not console sales, gaming. Okay, PC gaming market did 45.8 billion. Okay, 45.8 billion. As of November of 2024, there are approximately 1.86 billion PC gamers worldwide. 1.86 billion PC gamers worldwide. Let's go back to how many PlayStations are sold on PlayStation 5. Okay, 74 million. And then let's take the Xbox Series X and add that to it. We'll give them 35 on top of the 74. Okay, and then we'll take the Nintendo Switch of the 150 and we'll put that on top of that. Great. 1.86 billion. Greater than or less than 250 to 300 million? I'll wait. You could literally take the PlayStation 4, the Xbox One, the Xbox 360, and it would still all be less than what the PC market is. When's that go on, Mo? When is the ID at Xbox? It's in 6 minutes. What is it? Just an independent developer? I'm gonna do the Exodus thing. If it's anything, we'll do it tomorrow. Ron says, please add the Stadia to those console numbers. I will. I'll add that to it as well. And even then, doesn't come close. All right. This next thing we're going to talk about is Explore Exodus live stream highlights. Okay, so Cold Carnage is part of this. This is the game coming out called Exodus that we were interested in. So we're going to watch a little bit of the stuff to see what this game is all about.
So today we are taking a very special look, not only at the game itself.
World says it's everywhere now across all these gaming shows. You're a Sony shill or a PlayStation fanboy for simply looking at the data. I'm looking at the data. 1.86 million or a billion people play on PC gaming. 1.86 billion. Numbers don't lie. That is 1.3 at taking the PlayStation 4, the 3, the Xbox One, the Xbox 360, Nintendo, the other Nintendo. You can add them all together. There's still 1.3 billion less than PC gaming. I don't know what to tell you.
So today we are taking a very special look, not only at the game itself, but also some of the world first gameplay. Let's go ahead and meet the team.
I'm Chad Robertson, the general manager at Archetype Entertainment. I'd like to introduce James Olin, our studio head. James.
So yeah, I'm the head of the studio and the creative head for the Exodus franchise. We're also having a special guest star.
This is a highlight. If you guys want to watch the full version, I got to put this in the description, but I don't think he had. Maybe he has it down here. I don't even think they have the full thing. No, they have their site though. You can go to their site and check out the other video if you want to watch the entirety. This is the highlight of this live stream.
Behind Secret Level, Tim Miller.
It is my honor to be here as a longtime friend of James, and we've been working with them on Exodus for a while.
I heard today we may have something else here. So how about we see some world premiere gameplay from this game?
Preparing to transfer now.
This game reminds me of Mass Effect.
Last chance to bail, June.
Do it. Weapon is a hell of a way to greet your new partner.
So you're June.
We're burning time. Now that we're all best of friends, let's make each other rich.
I'm not just here to look pretty. I've got away with celestial tech.
Giant bear, man.
I see a lot of potential in this new partnership.
Let me light the way for you.
Target acquired. Many thanks again for your help. You should have been honest.
This place is forbidden. The price is death.
That's what it means to be a traveler.
Was that him? Was that him in the future?
This game has an interesting name and an even more interesting kind of sub-name to it. So what exactly is Exodus, and what are the Travelers?
The entire setting is based around the Exodus from Earth, and it's also something that we've called the journeys that the Traveler makes when they are going off to other star systems. Now, the Traveler is essentially what the player plays as. They're very influential people because they're like tip of the spear on technology, but they're also the people who are making political decisions and societal decisions that impact how the world is going to evolve.
Yeah, there's an element to them too that's elite, and it's special to be a traveler, and so we really want to celebrate that in terms of the growth of the player throughout the experience that players will have.
One of those things that they explained to me early on, that you have these disparate worlds all spread out, and they all have different levels of technology, sometimes extremely far apart, but they don't necessarily help each other. It's not like there's one humanity and everybody is moving towards a singular bright future. It's very competitive environment. So these, especially like the new humans that are just off the ark, that just arrived, they're put on backwater worlds and they have to go scavenge other technology to bootstrap themselves into this new society, which is pretty cool.
Who are we going to be playing? Who was your inspiration, or what was your inspiration for June? Was it based on someone or something in particular, or do you guys...
Ko's basically asking him, who are you looking at? Was it Shepard from Mass Effect?
What is your vision for this character?
It's kind of a complicated question because June has to have a personality. There's a lot of acting that goes into all those scenes, but at the same time, June has to be your character. The choices you make kind of help define who June is as a person. Where did June come from? I don't want to say this because all my writers would murder me, but Indiana Jones times Paul Mahdi, Paul Atreides, because June has the serious task of, leading their world, but they're also a fun person, as you can see in the clips there, and they're also going on adventures. So it's kind of that combination.
And he or she has an incredible backstory that we will reveal at some time. And Tim helped us create that story too, that we'll share once the time comes.
With this trailer, we're seeing all sorts of new things. We're seeing enemy types, we're seeing new environments, most importantly, we're seeing how the player interacts with them. What approach are you guys taking with this game? What's going to be, not necessarily the minute-to-minute gameplay, but what's going to be our more overarching style of gameplay?
We're kind of doing what we know best, which is while you do go on missions, and those missions have lots of optional areas that you'll be able to explore, you can decide how you want to explore the missions, like which ones you want to go on first, and how you're going to explore them. And then there might be things that you do on your home world that unlock stuff on missions that you wouldn't normally be able to do. Yeah, so it's very much similar to Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic or a Mass Effect or a Dragon Age.
You could tell he doesn't want to say like a Mass Effect because it's so close to the sci-fi that he was a little hesitant of saying Mass Effect.
Origins. That's the model that we have gone with.
I'm not just here to look pretty. I've got away with celestial tech.
How is our character going to be progressing? Are we going to be like really specializing June to do something, or is it going to be more of like kind of just complementary to what we're doing already? How are you guys approaching that?
Progression for us takes a multitude of forms. Like we look at choice in several different levels. So there's sort of the choice in terms of how you approach minute-to-minute gameplay, and we give some options in combat that we think players will like in terms of how they deal with different scenarios and fights that they get into. But the choices they make across, the bigger parts of the story lead to manifestations back in places like your home world in the game that we think will be unique. And those affect both more the immediate term in terms of your loved ones and your companions, but then those choices also impact and resonate across much longer periods of time. And it's through time dilation, like we've said, that is really the way that we're able to achieve that. But if you look at the choices in terms of the player's going to make in terms of their personal progression, it takes the form of a couple different things. There's progression for your companions, there's progression for you, where you can make choices in terms of your...
So we talked about Avowed last week, right? About how they're making an RPG, right? Avowed made an RPG, and it needs to hit the bar of what the other RPGs. What he's talking about right now is the bar of what like Mass Effect did, and what New Vegas did, and what Skyrim did, and all of these things. So it sounds fantastic that they're going to hit. At least you would hope that what he's talking about, they hit the bar of these past RPGs, and then what they bring to the table even more.
Your skill set and the abilities that you have. And then without going into too much detail, we've talked about a little bit about the way Livestone works in the game and the way what you see the player using in their gauntlet. There's some progression there that's pretty cool too as well. That's a unique feature of the game that we think players will like.
You also get to unlock different technologies according to how you use the remnants you bring back. Just imagine if Indiana Jones had to choose how to use the Ark of the Covenant. Do I use it as a super weapon against the Nazis, or do I bring it back to the U.S. and use it as a font of knowledge to help the country become better? You know, like you'll have companions who have different opinions on it, and you have to decide. And then you go on an Exodus and you come back and you get to see what your decision did. And also, you might have some weapons that weren't available before.
Loaded weapon is a hell of a way to greet your new partner.
So you're June.
We're burning time. Now that we're all best of friends, let's make each other rich.
What can we expect from the companions? Is it going to be the kind of thing where there's a couple people with us, or are we going to have like a team? And how far are you guys really wanting to go with that?
Well, you have a team. You don't bring your entire team on every mission. You have 2 team members with you on every mission, and your companions, you're going to be able to do a lot with them. You know, you will have a relationship with every single one of your companions. You're going to be able to romance some of your companions. You're going to have your companions are sometimes going to be at each other's throats as the story progresses. You know, you're going to be choosing to follow some companions' advice over the others, and that might, you know.
God, I hope they don't not like Sarah from Starfield. She was angry at us the entire time we did. I can't believe you did this. I can't believe you did that. Be like, oh my God, open the airlock.
Rupture your relationship with those that you didn't side with, and your decisions are going to have huge impacts. So there'll be, there's a lot of relationship stuff there that's going to happen. That's going to be really cool.
Yeah, and the slate of them overall, we think is really going to be compelling. We've introduced 2 that you can see on our website. And if you look closely at the trailer, you'll get a glimpse of a few more. But there's more to come. And not to be the constant tease, but ultimately that set of things that we have available in this universe to deliver through the characters and through the companions specifically that you'll play with, we think is pretty cool. And it's a nice part of the IP.
Also, some of the companions change radically depending upon some of the choices you make. It's because with time dilation, we can just, if you leave a companion behind, imagine all the changes that they can go through while you're gone. For them, it might be a decade.
So when he's talking about the time dilation, I wonder if it's going to be similar to what's happening in Starfield with the different endings, right? Because like every time you go into the next universe or whatever timeline, something else is happening there where it's the same people, but they act completely different. It'd be interesting in a different way than what Starfield did.
Which also makes the artist crazy, because it's like they have to like, okay, so we just can't do this companion. We have to do the companion 10 years older. Oh, and maybe even older. So
Many thanks again for your help.
You should have been honest.
Tim and Blur are going to be showing off today, because it's like the secret level episode of Exodus. And
right on.
It really focuses on what time dilation.
Which is out now, by the way. Is it out right?
Z says, I hate when characters second guess my choices. It's my playthrough, not theirs. Yeah. I hate it. It's like, are you sure you want to do that? Yes. Yes, I want to be a bad guy.
Right now, can people go watch it?
Yeah.
No, I know time dilation is not the same. What I'm saying, Titan, is what they did in Starfield at the end, where you constantly go through and then, like, I don't know if you played Starfield, and if you played Starfield, the ending that you get, the story is shit, but when you go through and then you show up to the lodge, and all of a sudden there's like kids there instead of adults, or like something changes completely, which is pretty cool. So every time you go through, it's a random dice roll of what you're going to see in that, right? And the time dilation, it's like going to change them completely when you're going through. So in that trailer they just showed where you put what's her name inside and send her free, like, or she sends you out, whatever, and she stays in. She dies, but then maybe another playthrough or another thing that you do, she's alive, but now she thinks of you differently because different scenario. Pretty interesting. So you're not really in love with that person anymore. It's a completely different person.
It is. It's
Yeah.
out right now.
Kat is saying not only is it out, I've heard a lot of very favorable things so far already.
There
so
you
That's
go.
good.
Good job.
Nice.
Very, very cool.
I love that story. I happen to have personally wrote that one of all the 15. That was the only one I was super
This is not coming out this year, is it? This is coming out next year.
Involved with every day, and it's based on a Jack London story that I really love called Odyssey of the North. That was a love story that takes place over 20 years or so, and we switched it to an Exodus friendly universe. But it just seemed very apropos because for the hero in that story, his love remained unchanged, but his love interest changed greatly, and it felt like it fit Exodus in a really interesting way. So if you're going to steal from the best.
Nice.
Yep.
Yeah, I believe so, Sarge.
Been seeing a lot of questions from chat. Is it single player or co-op?
Single player.
Perfect. I think you mentioned this earlier, but what platforms are we going to be available on?
PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X, and PC.
Awesome. Somebody asked, if I like Mass Effect, how hard will I like your game?
Really hard.
Really hard.
Really hard. Okay, there we go. Do you know what?
Drew Karpyshyn, the lead writer of Mass Effect 1 and 2, who's
Oh, see, they have the writer from Mass Effect 1 and 2.
anyway.
So maybe even ultra hard. Thank you, James, Chad, and Tim. It has been
That's all I needed to hear, really. The game looks good, and now you just told me that the lead writer from Mass Effect 1 and 2 is the writer for this. I'm in.
an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. See you
Thank
later.
you, Joe. We really appreciate
Yep.
the time and the support.
Absolutely.
There's no time for this. Thing's not coming out anytime soon. This thing's not coming out anytime soon. There's no way. Let me go to their website and see if it says anything. You become a founder. Join us as a founder. Opt in by August 30th, 2025. All founders receive a founder's exodus. I'm not in on this. I don't care about this stuff. Like I'll get your game when it comes out. Okay, become a founder. You don't have to pay. Okay, I thought you maybe had to pay something. You can just become a founder by signing up. Refer 3 or more friends and earn additional in-game rewards. For a friend, refer 3 or more friends. All you earn in-game friends travel cloak. Refer 3 more friends. Referral links. All you receive is friends traveler cloak. Okay. Yeah, so they don't tell you anything. Intense combat action. Okay. Explore the stars. Progression and path. Salvation. Time dilation. As a traveler, you're calling your journey to the stars. Exodus comes with a cost. Companions. No traveler journey alone. For all the travelers, you must also search potential allies of humans and otherwise. All right. Yeah, this is probably like 2026, 2027, maybe. Who knows? Twisted Logic says looks interesting. Yeah, it definitely looks interesting. One of my favorite games of all time is Mass Effect. Now they just said the writer for Mass Effect 1 and 2 is the writer for this. I'm definitely interested. Yeah, you can play Mass Effect Legendary. They just did that 2 years ago. It came out a year ago. The clip says, "To me, this is the future companies that made games. We love branching off and making something of their own. Like I can't wait to see what the 100 Star Studios does. Oh yeah, that's another studio that I'm looking forward to." Go from that to there was a small little blurb here I didn't read the article, obviously, but I didn't know if it was like bait and switch, clickbait type of thing. It says NetEase CEO debated of having Marvel Rivals cancel and removing heroes. Okay, let's read this. Marvel Rivals has become one of the most popular game releases in the past year, averaging over 250,000 daily players on Steam since December release. But according to the new report, Bloomberg, there was also time where they also might have never ever happened. Interesting. In a report, NetEase CEO William Ding, Bloomberg source, told the outlets that there was a discussion about Marvel Rivals being canceled ahead of its launch, according to those with knowledge of the situation. Ding was against paying Disney for the rights to use the Marvel characters. Here's a, in my opinion, this was the smartest thing to take the characters like this, because if you look at Overwatch, okay, and you look at Concord, now I know there's not two of the same games, but the way I'm saying it is, Overwatch, they did a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into the characters they've created for Overwatch, right? It was supposed to be an MMO, and it turned into the first-person hero shooter, right? But they created those characters, and those characters in per se are like the Marvel characters that Stan Lee did way, way back when there wasn't video games, but he created characters to put on a comic book. That's what Blizzard did with these characters to put in a video game called Overwatch. Okay. They're generic characters. Like most brand new IPs, you don't know anything about the characters. You don't know anything about the heroes, the protagonists, the antagonists, whatever, the world. Okay. And you have to build up and you start liking these characters. When you pick Marvel, that is already embedded, okay? That is already embedded in the characters. You don't have to come up with the narrative of who is Wolverine, who is Cyclops, who is Captain America. Those are already baked into the characters. Now, they didn't want to pay the rights to use the Marvel characters. Now, NetEase has been working with Disney and Marvel for years, okay? So it says, Ding, even after the artists began creating original characters to use instead, while it didn't move forward permanently, the short-lived decision, okay, was cost the company millions of dollars. It was abrupt changes, okay, of the CEO. Now, for what it's worth, NetEase denies the claims and says that they've enjoyed their close partnership with Marvel in 2017. So that's what I'm saying. So I can't imagine them. They have so many games they have Marvel franchise with. They've been partners with them for years. So to say they didn't want to pay Disney for the characters, interesting. It says NetEase also has been in quite news recently with layoffs in the entire United States team, and the studio said the decision was also difficult, but the company is committed to the future of gaming. This is, quote, we want to ensure the fan base that our core development team of Marvel Rivals, which continues to be led by producer, I'm going to butcher that guy's name, we'll just call him Wu, and game creative director Chen, of China, remains fully committed to delivering an exceptional experience, and NetEase said on the move. We're investing more, not less, into the evolution of the growth of this game. Well, of course you are, right? You're making bank, right? And obviously this, guys know where I stand. I said that this game needs to add as many heroes as possible. Supposedly, you guys posted something. I think it was Waterbear posted in Discord. Posted in you posted it here. Okay. In this tab. We've had this before on the stream. A little blurry. This is fan made, by the way. This is not official in any way, shape, or form. But these are all the characters that have been leaked inside of the data code or whatnot. So you have Angeline, you have Beast, you have Blade. We know Blade's in the game. We've seen them. Captain Marvel, Colossus, Cyclops, Deadpool, Emma Frost, Gambit, Hitmonkey, Jean Grey, Jing, Jubilee. Who's that? I don't know who that is. MODOK. Is that Professor X? Gotta be Professor X. No, that's Professor X. Pasty Pete, Nightcrawler, Rogue, The Hood, Ultron, and Valkyrie. Right? So obviously, the more you put in, the better. I'm having a lot of fun with Thing. I put more time into the Thing than Human Torch, but I'm having a lot of fun with him. I think I might start playing him more than Captain America right now. But we'll see. Pasty Pot Pete. Yeah, that's the one. I know you're waiting for him, Z. I know you're waiting for him. favorite character. See what else. Uh-oh. How long is this review? 10 minutes? Yeah, you want to watch it? We'll watch that. Monster Hunter review. All right, let's see.
After the massive success of both Monster Hunter World and Monster Hunter Rise, it makes sense that Capcom would do whatever it can to welcome that wider audience into the next frontier. That's exactly what Monster
I didn't like the main storyline, Twisted. The main storyline was the weakest story in my opinion. I liked the side quests or the side story missions much better than the main story in Starfield.
Hunter Wilds does, smoothing out the already excellent process of turning big scary dragons into silly little hats to be faster, more flexible, and less fiddly than ever before. The other side of those dual blades, however, is that Wilds is light on any real challenge, even for what I'd expect at launch, never asking me to think hard about my equipment. But while the monsters may not pose much of a threat this time around, smart tweaks to combat still mean the act of carving them up has rarely felt better.
I played the demo of this. I really enjoyed it, but I'm not going to pick it up.
My first surprise in Wilds was that the campaign isn't just a totally forgettable excuse to kill anything that crosses your path this time. Okay, it's still mostly that as you explore yet another uncharted land to solve some mystery, but while the story itself isn't particularly fresh, the difference here is that the characters within it are actually pretty great. Whether it's the excitable engineer Gemma...
We are so gonna talk later, pal.
I love Worlds, Fate. Worlds is one of my favorite games. I had a blast with it. Played it like nonstop for I would say 7 months, and then I just stopped.
Your empathetic handler Alma,
Oh, but I've definitely heard of him.
or the total space cadet of a biologist Eric.
This forest is amazing.
Your team is full of likable personalities and little character arcs throughout the gorgeously animated cutscenes.
See? Told you they'd be fine.
And that was enough to get me more invested. The revamped structure of Wilds also means that campaign is significantly shorter than I was expecting. I reached the credits in just 15 hours and didn't have to fight a single monster twice in that time, getting an...
The campaign's only 15 hours? Yeah, I guess we've had this conversation a couple times on this channel, right? I'm okay with like a 15 to 20 hour campaign, right? I'm okay with that.
enough materials from any initial encounters to keep...
If you're just playing a game, beat the campaign, and then put it down, 15 to 20 is fine. I mean, obviously, you can constantly go back and play, I would assume, gotta be an end game, right?
Keep my gear up to snuff and jump right from one mission to the next. When you compare that to the 40-plus hours it took to see the end of the story in World, it feels like the intent is to allow more people to quote-unquote beat Wilds. And I certainly appreciate how that shift toward approachability might appeal to anyone who has been traditionally intimidated by the series. But as a veteran, I can't help but be a little disappointed that I literally didn't get knocked out once in that entire time. There's never a skill or armor testing wall of a monster that forced me to really consider my equipment choices more deeply in order to earn the reward of a hard-fought victory.
Reviewers said that the end game is bare bones right now. So is it an incomplete game per se? Like they're gonna push it over like the next couple months?
Avoiding spoilers, there is, of course, more to do once you get past the credits.
Okay.
That's where the larger changes Wilds makes to the traditional Monster Hunter loop really start to shine. Gone are the days of returning to a separate town between every hunt, then going down the same checklist of tasks before you're ready for the next one. Pretty much everything you need is out in the field with you, and you're never more than a lickety-split loading screen away from whichever beautiful area you want to be in. Convenient adjustments are all over the place, like food buffs being tied to a timer now that sticks around between hunts. It doesn't even tick down while in camp, making a previously repetitive process substantially smoother without removing the depth it added to hunts.
Nothing like home cooking.
The roaringly successful result of those changes is that a vast majority of the friction past games could produce as you start and stop and restart between every encounter has been removed. Now you can just check your map for monster information and go hunt. The monsters you'll face are also generally,
which is nice, right? You could just go do the thing. You don't have to go through all these like load screens and whatnot.
really excellent. That could be a flashy newcomer like the flamenco-inspired La Labarina, or Wild's headliner Arkveld and its chain-like appendages.
Yeah, we fought him like that. It was cool.
But the true stunner has to be New Udra. The tentacles of Monster Hunter's first
That's cool. An octopus? Come on now.
octopus-like creature can be as unpredictable to contend with as you might expect, especially when they're literally on fire. And the satisfaction of severing every single one of them over the course of a hunt is second to none. The appeal of Monster Hunter's fights has always been how it empowers you with flashy moves and hard-hitting attacks. But knowing when to strike and where to stand and how the monster will behave next is just as important as figuring out which buttons to press.
The only reason I'm not getting this game, because it's coming out, what? Like, next day or two or something like that, right? A couple days. The only reason I'm not getting it is because I got so many other games I'm playing right now that I want to complete before I can jump into another game that I'm not going to complete.
That's true in Wilds too, but combat is also more flexible and forgiving here. For example, you can adjust your footing a little more mid-combo, resulting in fewer moments where a mistimed attack with a long animation had me embarrassingly slicing at the air. In many ways, the combat feels like it's all about the new wound system this time. Wounds open up once you deal enough damage to a given body part, and then you'll deal extra damage when attacking them. But deal enough damage to a wound and it'll break, resetting that spot. Every weapon also has a simple-to-execute focus strike that will deal a burst of damage to a wound and break it right away. So maximizing the amount of time you leave one open and then using that finisher before it closes naturally is an interesting subgame to manage. Or
players, I don't like how they made it the game too easy. The best part about Monster Hunter World was the upcoming overcoming the challenge of killing monsters. Here's the difference, and I don't know if this is what they're doing, player, but this is what I think they're trying to do. So, Worlds opened up Monster Hunter to a whole new audience, because Monster Hunter up to that point was, I don't want to say a niche community, but it was smaller. When Worlds came out, it was much vaster, of a much larger group of people came in to play it. Like, I never played a Monster Hunter game before that. That brought me in. Loved it. Okay. What Elden Ring did for the Dark Souls type of stuff, almost like what World did. But then what happened was they were like, well, what do we do? We're making it easier for people, but we also want to make it more people because they want to make more sales, right? At the end of the day, yeah, they want to make the game fun. They want to make it hard, but at the same time, they want as many people to play it as possible. So that's why they make the campaign pretty simple, right? That's why they make it where you come in, you beat the game in 15 hours, and then maybe it gets harder afterwards. I don't know. But I'm assuming they want to make it the average person buys it so they get that $70 instead of going, you know what, it's too hard. I don't want to play a game like that.
at least it would be if Wilds ever presented me with a challenge that pushed me to make those considerations. Whether I was playing online or solo, I've never had a mission reach the 20-minute mark, and I've only fainted 2 times total across dozens of hours. Compare that to World, which had real tests like
died so much.
Kieran, who smacked me silly my first couple of attempts, forcing me to regroup and craft an armor set around thunder resistance, and it's hard not to feel like Capcom's desire to make this a more inviting Monster Hunter sanded off some of the bumps I actually enjoyed in terms of overcoming big threats.
And that's the problem as a developer, right? They're like, well, what do we want to do? Well, the last time I made a Monster Hunter game, it was really hard and our fans loved it, but we didn't open it up to the rest of the people. And now they're like, well, we got to, as he said, sand it off, which leaves it less desiring for the people that made it what it was.
Things do ramp up a little bit in the post-game, but even there I only really had to worry about upgrading my armor or falling behind in damage once or twice during the content that's available at launch. After the 15 hours it took me to beat the campaign, I only had to spend another 15 to finish every side quest that wasn't about catching fish, and just 5 more after that before I had the best armor set and weapon I could get and a pretty solid suite of skill-boosting decorations. To be fair...
Oh, I agree, player. I like the pushback that people try.
I still have plenty more equipment.
But from a business side, they're like, how do we make more money?
I could grind for. But my usual desire to get the top-tier weapon of each elemental type and put together specialized outfits for certain challenging fights just isn't here this time, because those fights aren't here either. I think a lot of this comes down to raw numbers that could hypothetically be tweaked in one of the many patches that are sure to come, but some of what makes things so easy also seems to be baked into the bones of Wilds. For example, nearly every time you focus strike a wound, the monster gets locked into a little stagger animation, and you'll be breaking wounds a lot. Meanwhile, on the crafting side of things, my hunt for the best armor was way shorter than I ever expected because materials that are usually super rare can sometimes show up as guaranteed rewards when looking at the monster list on your map. That was excitingly convenient initially, but it's also what brought that loot chase to an almost trivially fast end.
Perfection.
That's always a hard balance to do, right? How long should you grind for to get the good gear? Because if it's too hard, then people leave. But if it's too easy, people leave, right? You have two sides that leave. You have the casual you sold it to. They want to play the game, but it's too hard to get to the good gear, so they leave. And then the hardcore people, they like the game, but it's too easy to get the gear, right? And then they leave.
I imagine this difficulty tuning will get a lot more people through the front door. But it also means that where my past 3 Monster Hunter reviews wrapped up around the 50 to 60 hour mark while I still had plenty more I was excited to do, I started losing steam with Wilds before I even hit 40. Don't get me wrong, that's still a healthy...
Wait, what did he say there?
The 50 to 60 hour mark while I still had plenty more I was excited to do, I started losing steam with Wilds before I even hit 40. Don't get me wrong, that's still...
he was getting tired of the game before even hour 40. I mean, the average person doesn't even play 40 hours, you know? Still a long time. Speaking of just general, but...
a healthy chunk of game, and it has absolutely been some of the most fun I've had with the series. I'm also sure any longtime fans will be thinking, well, we just have to wait for updates, or G-Rank, or whatever for the real challenge. But in that regard, Capcom's own roadmap has left me wary. There's only one monster scheduled to be added for all of spring, and then only...
Uh-oh.
one currently listed for summer. In contrast, Rise also felt slight at launch, but got 6 new monsters just 1 month later, and then 3 more a month after that. Wilds already feels like it needs endgame threats like its formidable Elder Dragons to really push its limits. And if it instead only gets 1 returning monster in the first 3 or so months after launch, this could be a long wait until its inevitable expansion.
Uh-oh. Looks like you're going to be paying for the game full price, smaller game, and then you're going to have to wait for the rest of the game to come out.
That all said, Wilds deserves credit for being what has got to be one of the most customizable games I have ever played. There's a huge host of accessibility features. You can adjust the size of or turn off individual elements on your UI, you have more control than ever over your menus and radio wheels, and you can alter the look of stuff like your mount, chat stickers, and even fast travel tents to a surprising degree. As a crowning touch, you can finally wear any version of each armor set too, essentially doubling the cosmetic options previously available as you get into the all-important fashion side of things towards the end. Partying up online has also been made more robust, letting you run around each map with your friends and seamlessly flow from hunt to hunt without having to regroup at camp between each mission. And even if you're largely planning to play solo, there are quality of life changes here for you too. That could be the surprisingly competent AI support hunters that fill empty spots in your party when you...
Yeah, it made it pretty easy. It made it pretty easy when we played the beta and the NPCs came in and they were like fighting the guy while I was doing this other stuff.
Fire an SOS flare, but also the inclusion of an online single-player option that lets you fire flares to get help, but still pause the action entirely before you do. Monster Hunter Wilds continues to smooth off the rougher corners of the series in smart ways, reducing as much friction as possible that could get in the way of you grabbing any of its exceptionally fun weapons and planting them firmly in a monster's hide. But in that quest to make Monster Hunter more approachable, Wilds is sliced a little too close to the bone in some places, trimming its challenge back so much that I barely needed to engage with its in-depth equipment system at all this time to become an
That's
apex
sad.
predator. Its more flexible combat is still some of the most fun I've had with the series, but like the
All right, babe.
blustering
Have a good one.
lightning storms of its gorgeous desert, it burns brightly but briefly until Capcom unleashes some real endgame beasts to challenge us.
I'm okay with whatever they give it. I don't even really give a shit what IGN gives games anymore. I'm more worried about. I have a question for you guys that are really into this. Are they giving? Is all the content after the fact? Is it free, or is it just the first couple things is free? And if it is free, and they're doing spring, summer, fall, winter, you're paying $70 right now, and then you're waiting for the rest of the game to come out. Is that what it is, or it's paid? Because he did say free. It did say free update. Where was it?
Did for summer.
Right? Free title update roadmap, right? So spring, first free tile or title update, right? So second free. So they are free. They are free. So spring, summer, I'm assuming, fall. The expansion is paid. So there's a free content and then there's paid expansion on top of that. Argus says, nah, there is paid expansions every now and then. Gotcha. Okay, and then these are free. So these are free and then there's paid on top of that. The expansion is paid. Monsters usually are the only charge for cosmetics now, but the cosmetics used to be free. Yeah, Event Quest back then. World and Rise both had paid expansion. I feel like that they're making it easier, obviously, because they want to make that more sales type of stuff. But at the same time, they want to try. See, this is the exact same business model as Space Marines. Right, Space Marines 2, which I would love to play, but I refuse to buy the game until all the content comes out. I don't want to pay $70 and then wait 1 year for all the content to come out. I'll just wait for the whole year to play the entire game, and then, if you have paid expansions after that, cool. Yeah, I don't want to say it does feel minimal viable. It feels like they made it easier, so more people get in, and then they're going to kind of just drag it along the way. Which, if I wait 6 months, if I wait 8 months, there'll be more of the game. And it'll be cheaper. Altered says they usually do it is the in-game release, a few free DLCs, 1 year later, a paid expansion. They also brings a few DLCs exclusives to the expansion. Yeah, one monster. And it even says after that, it says additional monster. So they're giving like one additional monster. And it's not even I'm giving shit to this game. It's just like everything. Marvel Rivals has an update. Fortnite has an update. Call of Duty has an update, right? Like every game, like you got to come back. This Tuesday we got Monster Hunter. Wednesday we got Call of Duty. Thursday we got Marvel Rivals. It's like every day there's some sort of update for a live service game. And if you're just a fan of one of those things, cool. If you're trying to play all these different games across the board, it gets harder and harder and harder. The one reason I'm not picking up this game is that I was playing Eternal Shards, right? Or Eternal Strands. Sorry. Eternal Strands. And I can't complete that because now Avowed came out, and Avowed to me, it was a better game than Eternal Strands, so I'm playing Avowed. So I'll complete Avowed, Then I'll go back and play Eternal Strands. And then there's like one other game. I still have to complete Marvel Midnight Suns. Okay. Like I still have to complete that game. There's so many games I have to complete. I don't want to buy another game at full price and then sit on it and then wait for it to, complete it 6 months from now. I'll just wait 6 months from now, and if I have nothing to play, then I'll pick it up. If I'm gonna invest in something, I'll invest in the stock market. I'm not investing in video games that's gonna sit in my backlog for the next 6 months. They want continuous engagement, which is fine, but it's not fine when every single game that comes out wants the continuous engagement. It's impossible. Here, what do I have? I don't even know. Let me see what I got. How many hours I put into it. Let's see what I got here. Got 5 days worth. 5 days. Right? Came back every once in a while. Then I stopped. Then I played Dauntless. Then I stopped Dauntless. Then I went to something else. I was playing Destiny. You know what I mean? Oh, that's another game I have to go back to. Wayfinder. I picked up Wayfinder. I got to go back to that. I got to finish that. So many different games to play. Altern says what you need to do is pay someone to play on your account. And then when you have time to play all content easily similar to the Elon Musk did. That's what I want to do. I want to buy a full price game and then pay someone else to play it for me. Oh, Minecraft adds stuff all the time. All the time, Jones. Come back, Minecraft, 1 year later. Holy fuck. What is all this new stuff? Come back to Dauntless 1 year later. Holy fuck. Where's my gear? Exactly. Roadkill says, man, I downloaded Battlefield 1, Battlefield 5 for $2 on PlayStation Store. They are the best fucking games in the world. $10 super chat. Battlefield, they're great games. And here's the best part, Roadkill. They're great games now. You know what I mean? Battlefield 1 was good when it launched. I love Battlefield 1. Battlefield 5 wasn't good when it came out, and they made it better. They made it better after the fact. And they could have continued making that game, but instead, they stopped supporting that game and then came out with Battlefield 2042, and holy Christ. Battlefield 2042 is actually a much, much better game now. But we're talking 2.5 years later. 2.5 years later. So someone bought it for $150 to get early access. And now, 2.5 years later, now it's a game that should have been at launch. That's the crazy part. Console population is still popping. There's full matches in Battlefield 1 on console. I can't tell you about PlayStation 5. But there are times that if you try to pick a different match, like if you don't pick any, like operation match, you'll get into a lobby that's got less and less people. But you could find full lobbies inside of Battlefield 1 and Battlefield 5. Yeah, Battlefield 2042 is fun now. And I if you're playing on PlayStation or PC, or I'm sorry, PlayStation or Xbox, and you're playing Battlefield 2042, I suggest you shut off crossplay unless you're playing with friends that are on PC or other platforms, because it is there's cheaters galore on the PC side. They're making shots from things and behind things. You're like, how the hell? Roadkill says, and then on my way to the job site this morning, I bought a badass aluminum toolbox from the back of a pickup truck for $40 from some crackhead. Nice. Nice. Yeah, quick matches throw you into an empty server. I don't know why. Doesn't make any sense. Like, just throw them in anything. It's like, no, you have to. You could find. Like, we played last Wednesday, Battlefield 1, which we'll probably maybe do again this week. And we had full lobbies. So if you want to play with us on Wednesday nights, 8 p.m., we usually play some sort of game. I don't know if we're going to play Star Wars, if we're going to play some Battlefield, but we'll play something. Battlefield 1 and Battlefield 5, they just put in some new anti-cheat like 10 months ago. So this is why everyone's playing again. That's what I heard. Okay. Argus says 2042 is better now, except that they aren't going to add any more content for seasons. Oh, no. Yeah, all hands are on deck for the next Battlefield game. Which I'll be honest, I don't think it's going to come out and it's going to be complete. But I'd love to be proven wrong. All right. That's going to do it for us. Let me check out some Twitter. See if anything's popped off while we were live. Anything notable? What is this? DC Studios has a 6-year plan that will culminate in an Avengers Endgame style event. Oh, here we go. Why? Why would you put that out there? Just put Superman out first, okay? Just put Superman out first, and if Superman does well, then talk about the next film. Like, stop with this. Jesus. Warner Brothers hasn't learned their lesson. Andor Season 2 coming to Disney Plus this April. A new season is coming to Division 2 tomorrow. Get prepared with details on the search, updates of seasonal journey, new season pass, and more. Oh, Sarge. Are we going to go back into Division for the new season? What happened? What happened to Division? Did they ever put in the Diablo-esque type of mode, or did they backtrack on that completely? Let's see. Andor's episodes 1, 2, and 3 on April 22nd, April 29th, 4, 5, and 6, May 6th, 7, 8, 9, and May 13th, 10, 11, 12. You know, it's never a good sign when you have a show that should last 13 weeks, but you're condensing it down to 4 weeks. What are they doing? The SEC will not sue Robinhood over crypto. Okay. Ooh, Roadcrafter demo is officially live for Steam Next Fest. Oh, they don't have a console version. I might have to download. I won't be able to play it on stream. But I'm definitely going to try it out off stream. Tonight we'll continue Avowed tonight. Let's see what else we got going on here. Sarge is done. I figured he was done. It was more of a bait. See what he says. Oh, God. Oh, Jesus. Somebody created... Gotta check this out, guys. Somebody created it. I don't know why, but they created... Here it is. This is the ATST. It starts off small like that. God, you could put wheels on it. There you go. Or robots to run from. Sorry, look up clone robotic. Clone robotic. Okay. Is this what I'm supposed to look at right here, Jones? Is this it? The clone Android companion, made for individuals and businesses alike. Reserve clone. Clone hand. The journey towards world's clones begins to create the most human-level robotic hand in the world. Is it? Well, this looks animated. All right. You want me to look up to see if there's a video on YouTube? All right. Oh, is it this thing? Okay. I saw this in my feed. Is that an actual... That's not a person hanging. That's an actual... That's an actual clone? Look at all the actuators going off. You can see it in the legs. What the fuck, dude? Why? Why? I've had this conversation before, but why do I want... Okay.
Clone Robotics just unveiled.
Why would I want... Oh, hold on. We got something here.
So today, we got an incredible announcement from the company called Robotics. This is a robotics company that is pioneering highly realistic humanoid robots with a particular emphasis on creating robotic hands and robotic torsos that mimic realistic.
Why? Why do we want realistic human robots? Like, if I want a window cleaner robot, I just take the robot, stick him on the window, and then he cleans. I don't need a clone walking around the house.
Human movements. Today, they announced their new humanoid torso that is just incredibly realistic. Now, this company has been producing this kind of stuff for quite some time, but it's only recently that we started to see an increased number of demos that are showing us what they are truly capable of. Now, the demo that you're seeing here is of their new torso, and this torso has some seriously advanced features. You see, they said that this torso is designed with bi-manual capabilities. That essentially refers
We're literally making the Terminator robots. We're literally making the Terminator robots.
to the fact that this robot has 2 fully functioning arms and it can use them both at the same time, just like we do. Imagine a robot that can open a jar with one hand while holding it steady with the other. That's the kind of potential you talk about.
Yeah, that's what I wanted. They're like, hey, you know what we could do? My grandmother can't open a jar. Why don't we build a multi-billion-dollar robot that can do it, and we'll sell it everywhere instead of a jar opener.
When you're looking at this robot. Now, the craziest thing about this is that these arms and movements are powered by what are called artificial muscles. Now, when you compare this to traditional robots, they often rely on motors and rigid parts to move, which can make their movements a bit clunky or mechanical. But artificial muscles are a game changer. They're designed to mimic the smooth, flexible way that our muscles and tendons work, allowing the robot to move in a much more natural and fluid way. And it's almost like watching a human move, except, without the skin and bones. Especially in this example. There are some examples where they do have skin, but this is not one of them. Now, in the follow-up tweet, Clone Robotics dives into the technical aspects of this android, which is where they state that they've actuated key parts of the body, like the elbow and cervical spine, which is the neck. So not only can this android move its arms, it can also tilt and rotate its head, which adds a whole new layer of versatility. It's like giving the robot a whole range of motion that we would expect out of a human. Now, they also talk about the shoulders. They mention that they've got anthropomorphic shoulders, meaning that they're designed to work exactly like how human shoulders do. And if you've ever studied how the human body moves, you know that these shoulders
terrifying. This is terrifying.
Is just insanely complex. It's made up of several key parts that all allow for different ranges and different sorts of motion, from lifting to rotating. Now, they mention specific joints, which are the fancy names for the different parts of the shoulder that work together to give us our full range of motion, and this robot somehow manages to mimic all of that. Now, they talk about how they've built this valve matrix in the center of the chest area.
That's his crit spot, guys. Remember that. His crit spot's right below the rib cages.
Or as they describe it, inside the rib cage. The valve matrix helps control this robot's artificial muscles, quite like how our lungs and diaphragm help to regulate our breathing and movement. And this is essentially the way that they've managed to design this robot so that it isn't needing bulky equipment. I remember looking at previous iterations of this robot and seeing that there were a lot of wires in the mix, but now they are seeming to tidy things up. Overall, when I did see this first demo from Clone Robotics, I have to say I was quite surprised. I was aware that this
surprised or terrified
company did exist because they have released quite a lot of footage in the past few years. For example, they released videos of their advanced robotic arm that was achieving some rather impressive feats. For example, they had this video that I think had around 4 million views. And you could see that in this video, it also quickly showcases a version of the torso that they were working towards building, which might be what the final version looks like. So, of course, the most impressive thing about this video, in which they, put some words in the description, they said that the forearm and the hand together only weigh 1 kilogram, which is 2.2 pounds.
Wow, dude.
And this actually highlights the power density to be able to hold a 7 kilogram dumbbell, which is 15.6 pounds, in just a very efficient manner. Now, the robotic arm actually operates at 200 watts at peak power, meaning that this is incredibly energy efficient, especially for the kind of work that it's going to be doing. And it's powered by water, which is another innovative aspect. And this makes it actually clean and safe compared to traditional robotic systems that often use complex hydraulics or heavy motors.
That's crazy.
Now, they didn't actually stop on just creating the muscles. They speak about in the description how they managed to create a portable power supply and their own custom valves. These components are the key to the arm's precise control, allowing them to adjust the speed and strength of the arm's movement, while also fitting the entire system in a human-like torso. Now, this prototype that you are seeing is one from a few years ago. They have provided us with more demos that showcase exactly how well this hand performs. And of course, in the description, they mention that they want to build a platform for reinforcement learning where the robot could evaluate. Now, there was also a recent demo that showcased the teleoperation, and the teleoperation was completely incredible. We can see that the user is able to control another hand that is seemingly human, which is rather strange to individuals like myself who are
crazy.
starting to see robotics cross the uncanny
very cool
valley.
technology.
And of course, you can see the robot hand is able to catch a ball, which is pretty impressive by any standard. Now, when seeing this, I think some people were initially skeptical. One of the things that tends to happen with technology is, of course, as always, there's going to be an area of...
That's what you guys are going to be doing. You're going to be home with a glove on, be a robot somewhere else, and you're going to be at a bar, but at home. That's what's going to happen. That's crazy. That's crazy. I think that's where we'll leave it today. To terrify people that you're going to be replaced by a robotic clone. Dun, 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 dun. Yeah, that's what's going to happen. All right, we'll be back tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern, for some more Avowed. I just moved over to the second area, so we'll be playing that tonight. Appreciate it very much. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you'd like to go above and beyond that, become a member as little as $5. Thank you very much for Ward and Roadkill for the 2 super chats. I appreciate it very much. You guys have a great rest of your day, afternoon, or evening, wherever you are in the world, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Thanks for hanging out. Peace.
Sunshine, rise and shine. The daily grind is here on time with gaming news and fun galore. We'll chat and entertain once more. The coffee's hot, the mic is on. Jump in the chat, let's have some fun. From pixels small to stories grand, we bring the magic to your hand. We're nitty, tune in daily, don't you miss entertainment wrapped in bliss. From new releases, tips and tricks, the daily grind, your morning fix. Controller ready, headset too, we've got the updates just for you. From late night streams to morning plays, we cover gaming all the ways. Controller ready, headset too, we've got the updates just for you. From late night streams to morning plays, we cover gaming all the ways. Laughs and news, our winning blend, the show with you, our dearest friend. Comments rolling, chats alive, the daily grind, 5-star vibe. Tune in daily, don't you miss entertainment wrapped in bliss. From new releases, tips and tricks, the daily grind, your morning fix. Good morning, sunshine, rise and shine. The daily grind is here on time with gaming news and fun galore. We'll chat and entertain once more. The coffee's hot, the mic is on. Jump in the chat, let's have some fun. From pixels always grand. We bring the magic to your hand. Tune in daily, don't you miss.